From Peoria Stadium in Peoria, Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is proud to present live coverage of Big 12 football. Tonight, a semifinal matchup. The Normal West Wildcats have come to Peoria to face off against the host Peoria Lions. And welcome into the broadcast, everybody. Alongside John Camosa, I'm Joey Wright. John, a captivating matchup in front of us tonight. We're going to see a lot of offense. Normal West 2-1, Peoria 3-1 on the season. Your quick thoughts. Offense is what sticks out to me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another high-scoring affair, as we saw last week when Peoria High beat Bloomington 50-35 to reach this game. Normal West was off last week, but they could put up some points as well, and I think they're going to have to do that tonight to be able to stick with Peoria High. A lot of players to watch for. Joey, last week we saw Eddie Clark have a big game. Darius Beckham behind center. A lot of weapons on this Peoria High team, as well as Normal West with their two tight ends, Corey Walker and Max Zebarth. It's going to be an all-out battle.
It will. We saw a lot of points last week. We were here for Peoria's 50-35 win over Bloomington, a game that really was never in doubt from halftime onwards. I know it got a little interesting late, right? But Peoria really controlled the second half. Normal West did not play last week. They had a win by forfeiture, if you will, against Centennial, but prior to that they rattled off 2 wins in a row after falling to Normal Community in week 1. And talking about that dynamic duo of Walker and Zebarth, that might pose a little bit of a matchup problem for Peoria. Normal West's star pass catchers, Corey Walker, as you mentioned, going to Western Michigan, and Max Zebarth, a star basketball player, very good receiver. A lot is going to fall on those Peoria cornerbacks tonight.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we talked with Peoria High coach Tim Thornton before the game, kind of what's the key to control, I should say contain Walker and Zebarth, and said, well, they can really do it all, even when you have guys on them, still find a way to make catches and pick up yardage. And Joey, I think the key tonight is just containing those guys. That Normal West can also do it on the ground a little bit too and run the ball, which we saw from Bloomington. So Peoria High's defense kind of has to lock down tonight and see if they can pull out a win.
It's going to be interesting to see. This is the semifinal matchup in the Big 12 tournament. The winner moves on to next Friday's championship affair. We'll talk about that all evening long as we get set to go at Peoria Stadium. Decent crowd on hand on a beautiful Friday night. Crown jewel of Peoria. We're going to find out in a couple of weeks who will wear the crown in the Big 12 tournament.
Another thing to watch for tonight, for those watching at home, if you weren't watching last week's game or if you haven't really kept up with Peoria High all season, a lot of hurry up as we talked about, and you're not just going to see that behind center. They also do that on kickoffs. Going to see some onside kicks, going to see some squib kicks, and you're also not going to see them attempt a field goal. They like to go for 2 on every single possession that they have.
They play an unapologetic brand of football, and John, I am very excited to see that tonight. Peoria is set to return the opening kickoff. Owen Sen set to boot it deep for Normal West, and it's the star duo of Isaiah Hazlitt and Eddie Clark back deep for the Lions.
And this is not 2 guys that you usually want to kick it directly to. We saw that last week, picking up some big yardages on kickoffs. 2 guys that can really get it done in the backfield.
They certainly can. We are set to kick things off at Peoria Stadium. Pop some popcorn, crack a cold beverage of your choice, sit back and relax. Owen Sen is starting things off with a line drive kick right at Eddie Clark, and Clark will return it to start things off. Clark with a little bit of space, still on his feet, coming towards us. He's at the 50-yard line and pushed out of bounds. And Eddie Clark proving you right, John Camosa, not a guy you normally want to kick to.
Spoke that into existence, obviously, and Eddie Clark, I mean, you just saw right there, Joey kind of sweeps his way to the right, comes back left, and, you know, if you don't catch him midfield, you can be off to the races.
Certainly will be, and now let's meet the Peoria High School offense, headlined by Darius Beckham at quarterback. He can do a lot with his legs, John. You mentioned last week. Reminds the average viewer a little bit of Karan Taylor, the former Peoria High School great, now at Illinois.
Definitely shades of him. If the pass isn't there, he creates his own run.
Keeping it here, spun around. He's going to get it out to Hazlitt in the flat, and Hazlitt wrapped up with little problem. So, John, we see that early on. That looked like a design keeper. Did a good job of staying afloat. But the ship was sunk by that stifling Normal West defense.
Yeah, and that's something they pride themselves on, too. He said offensive talked to Normal West head coach. Said offensively, they're still trying to put some things together. Obviously, only played 3 games this year, but defensively is where they really pride themselves.
Handoff up the middle to Clark, and Clark with a nice gain on 2nd and long. That'll move the chains. And, John, we see that Peoria offense not wasting any time. Bench quick down the sideline, offense quicker to the ball.
And they really like to kind of take you out of your comfort zone if you're used to sitting back, as we see right there. Also got Bloomington to force a lot of offsides there. So, like you said, they take you out of your comfort zone and want you to play up tempo with their pace.
First flag of the game comes in, owing to that tempo. 50 seconds into this one, feels like it's been a little bit less than that. 1st and 5. Beckham with a handoff to Clark, and Clark didn't have quite as much on that one. Still a nice gain. And that no-huddle offense, John, especially after a big play, when they can run it to the line quickly, that takes the defense out of it both physically and emotionally.
Certainly does, and that's something they've prided themselves on throughout the seasons, and it's really working for them, as we've seen.
Beckham to Hazlitt. Hazlitt near the 10-yard line. That'll move the chains again. It won't quite be 1st and goal, but it'll essentially function as that. And Isaiah Hazlitt with a prominent role in the offense early on. Didn't call his name offensively a ton last week. It's Beckham going to keep it up the middle here. Still on his feet, moving towards the goal line. Peoria thinks they have it, and they do. The Lions strike first, 89 seconds into the game. A couple of flags come in afterwards. I believe those will be excessive celebration penalties. And the touchdown ought to stand, we'll see. But, John, we're less than 90 seconds into this one, and Peoria has the lead.
Yeah, it's deja vu from last week, Joey, when we saw Beckham had a QB rush right up the middle, scored it. Pretty similar time on the clock. I mean, they like to get it and go, and I think we're going to see a lot of this all game long.
And those penalties actually against Normal West, so that'll make the ensuing 2-point conversion attempt a little bit shorter for Peoria. And if you're new to Peoria high school football, John, you mentioned it a little bit ago, they're going to go for 2 every time. A lot of onside kicks. It's an unapologetic style of football as a flag comes in right before the snap.
And this one's on Peoria High. It's going to push them back a little bit, but Joey, they're still going to go for it.
Yeah, they do not kick field goals. They would go for it from midfield.
Saw a lot of that last week as well. A lot of 4th down and 4th and long. Still elect to go for it. Like you said, unapologetic, and something that works for them very well.
Think they go back with the keeper to Beckham?
Certainly could if the hole's there.
Going to drop back to pass, looking to the middle of the end zone, and caught. Peoria will convert the 2-point conversion, caught by Fisher. And Isaiah Fisher hauls it in. 8-0, 89 seconds into the game. It's exactly the start Peoria wanted.
And Joey, with that quick pace offense that we talked about that throws you out of your rhythm a little bit, just like that, blown coverage, wide open, he could have camped out under that one.
And now we'll get the first look at Peoria's special teams unit. At least kicking the ball off, that is.
So a really good quick start for Peoria High. In the semifinal game, this is obviously the start you want at home. Nice crowd behind them as well.
You can hear the band in the background. Handling the kicking duties for Peoria is Ricky Hearn. That front line for Normal West ought to be ready here. Joey Wright and John Camosa in with you here, and owing to those flags we saw,
I think that's going to move up the kickoff.
Providing even more incentive to go for that onside kick if it wasn't already there. Did see a lot of flags come in before that 2-point conversion attempt.
And Joey, say they get a squib here, an onside recovery, you're right back in that field position you just had on your ensuing drive. Certainly what Peoria High would want to open a game.
With a lightning quick offense like they had, they could be ahead 2 scores less than 2 minutes into the game.
Certainly wouldn't surprise us here.
Nor is the onside kick surprising. Here's Hearn to send it away. Pooched up, fielded. That'll set the Wildcats up with their first chance of the evening.
Chance to see Levi Hess behind center.
Levi Hess emerged from a committee of quarterbacks for Normal West to start this season out. Colton Lindsay among those quarterbacks. But he settled in nicely, was throwing some nice balls in warm-ups. As you take a look a little bit at the Normal West season to this point, they enter this one, of course, 2-1. Did not play last week. Centennial was unable to field a team. And they were shut out in week 1, but an offense that has found its way since, averaging 28 points the last 2 weeks, 19 points on the season. In motion is Corey Walker, the Western Michigan commit, but it's right up the middle to Hess. Hess stays on his feet. Hess with open field in front of him, and Levi Hess with a huge touchdown. First play from scrimmage of the evening. A 71-yard touchdown run for Levi Hess.
And if you're trying to match that intensity and speed of Peoria High, that's the play you want if you're Normal West. Really nice run by Levi Hess. We talked about, Joe, you just mentioned him earning that spot at quarterback and certainly proving that right now.
Levi Hess bounced off a lot of tackles at the start of that play and was able to capitalize. And on for the extra point, Owen Sen. Sen, a good kicker, has his extra point attempt blocked at the line of scrimmage. Normal West head coach Nathan Fincham was very kind to his kicker beforehand when we talked to him before the game. Said he's got a good leg. He's hit from 33 and 37 this season. Didn't quite get enough on that, though, for the extra point.
That's something we saw last week as well. I'm not sure if they've done it in previous games to start the year against Richwoods or Notre Dame. But we also saw them get a hand on a ball and block one from Bloomington last week. And just, goes to show how strong that defensive line is for Peoria High getting in there, and certainly know how to get it done on defense as well. But a really good start for Normal West. Really nice run there from Hess.
It's exactly the response they needed. The cult of personality around the Peoria High School program is that they play that, I think it's the third or fourth time I've used this word, unapologetic style. Yep. They'll run up the score and they'll score some points. So that strike early on is big. Sen set to boot it deep. It is Hazlitt and Clark back deep to return again. Targeted Clark on the first kickoff, and this one, owing to Sen's abilities, sails into the end zone. Touchback, and the Lions offense back out onto the field. John, it was a couple of chunk plays that sunk the Normal West defense on the Lions' first drive. What do you think they do defensively here to maybe shore things up and make things just a little bit tougher for the Lions?
That's the thing, Joey. Talked with Coach Fincham. It's hard to slow the Lions down. It's hard to find a game plan that you really stop them. I mean, you just got to try to do your best. Bloomington did a good job of that last week, but ultimately this is a team that likes to run, and it's a tough team to stop.
Certainly is. Here's Beckham with a handoff to Clark, and Clark with space. Clark could break this one off. One man to beat, and he is beaten. Leslie Fisher, star defensive back for the Wildcats, brings him down in the open field. But a big gain for Clark to start things off. Call it about a 42-yard gain.
And how about an answer right back from Peoria High? You're not going to hang their heads on that touchdown run by Hess, and answers right back with a great run from Clark.
I'll call it 53. Clark again. Clark brought down. A couple of Wildcats got there. Jamari Meyer among them. And the Normal West offense, or defense, pardon me, struggling early on here to stop the high-tempoed Lions. Beckham has Clark in with him. Third straight play is a handoff to number 3, and Clark that time met at the line of scrimmage.
This is very high strategy. If they can wear you down defensively early, they got you right where they want you. They like to put a lot of points up on the board early. As you can see, we're only almost 3 minutes into the game. Already 8-6.
A lot of offense early on. Beckham trying to get that front line to jump. Couldn't do it. Goes to Clark again. And Clark brought down at the line. Couple of flags come in. And on that one was Levi Hess. And Walker as well. So a couple of big players for Normal West offense in on the tackle. And we'll see what the flag is. It'll be holding against Peoria. But, John, when you've got an aggressive offense like Peoria's, we saw this last week, too, against Bloomington in that 50-35 win. They play up-tempo, they play quick. That leads to a lot of flags, but I think head coach Tim Thornton and company are confident that they can trade off a couple of those execution mistakes for the opportunity for the big chunk play.
Yeah, and we talked about that, during the game, halftime. A lot of penalties. We saw them carry over into the third and fourth quarter, but Peoria High doesn't really seem fazed by that. They still put up 50 points on the board, so they kind of overshadow that by producing offensively and defensively. And I'm sure Coach Tim Thornton wants to limit some of those mental mistakes tonight, but right now a couple early penalties.
Beckham on the play action was looking for Hazlitt. Well defended, and that sets up 3rd and long. But 4-down territory here, I would think, John, for Peoria.
Oh, definitely. Already saw Beckham have that nice sling over to, who was that for that 2-point conversion?
It was Fisher.
Fisher, yeah. Here's another one.
Beckham's going to air it out long. Nearly intercepted by Fisher. A different Fisher, nevertheless. Leslie Fisher for Normal West, intended for Deatrick Pollard. Want to levy a quick apology to Deatrick Pollard. Last week called him Dietrich, was informed after the game. Unfortunately, it's Deatrick, and certainly strive to get that right, so my apologies to him. Had a big game last week. Caught a touchdown and was in on a lot of offense. 4th and 19. Peoria will go for it. And it goes out to Clark. Clark, oh, it's a pass. He's looking long. In the end zone, it's caught.
What a play.
How about that one from Tim Thornton and company? And the Lions strike again. Eddie Clark on the touchdown pass. I believe that was hauled in by Hazlitt.
Who's to say Tim Thornton doesn't have a couple tricks in the bag?
It's the Julian Edelman special, right?
Saw there wasn't a lot of room there on that right-hand side, but almost had the feeling he was going to potentially throw that. It worked great.
Oh, but they're going to bring it back, I believe. A flag in, perhaps an illegal forward pass.
Maybe across the line of scrimmage here, yeah. Well, what would have been great, yeah.
Well, Peoria thought they had it initially. We did too. And I believe they called it. They could have called two things there, John. I'm not sure if the initial pass to Hazlitt, or pardon me, to Clark was forwards, or if maybe he was past the line of scrimmage. Tough to tell where we're situated. Our camera is even a little higher than we are. Nevertheless,
yeah, it looked like he took a couple steps, like he was initially going to run the ball. Like you said, probably didn't get away with it after crossing the line of scrimmage a bit, but ultimately, if they could try that again, looked good. Looked good from our end.
Certainly did. Looks better for Normal West, though, now that it's coming back. And the Normal West offense back out onto the field. Scored on one big run from Levi Hess on their first drive of the game. That was a 71-yarder. And in the backfield, the handoff to Leslie Fisher, who was so big on defense the last drive for Normal West. He is wrapped up and brought down. And, John, for the Peoria defense, that's exactly what they needed to see.
Yeah, definitely, and they can really turn it up, I think their golden eye is obviously limit big, long plays like that we saw earlier from Hess. Try to get the ball back, and like I said, just run that score up on them. But so far we're seeing a really close game, Joe, and I think we're going to see that high-scoring, up-tempo game that we were anticipating.
Jamari Meyer was in motion. He's got to step down the field, but he can't catch up to the pass. Nasha Robertson couldn't quite catch up to him. That'll set up 3rd down and long.
Overthrew him by a couple steps, almost had him downfield.
See if Normal West tries to go back to that on 3rd and 11. We were talking with Peoria head coach Tim Thornton before this one, John, and he alluded to the fact that Normal West has some success when they throw the ball. Dropping back again is Hess. Hess will get it off quickly in the vicinity of Fisher, but nobody was there. Robertson was the closest defender once more, and that sets up 4th and 11.
It's hard to get comfortable in that pocket as well, as we see a couple missed throws by Hess, but Peoria High defense, that line gets back there so quick, and their corners and safeties do a really good job of hanging back, but ultimately put a lot of pressure on you and make it kind of speed you up.
Now the question, does Owen Sen punt it to Isaiah Hazlitt? Snap good, the punt off, and Hazlitt will field it on a bounce. So here goes Isaiah Hazlitt, again in towards us, doesn't have a lot of space. Flags fly in as he's brought out of bounds. If the return stands, a decent gain for Peoria, but we'll see what the flags are.
And Joe, you touched on that before the game, or right at kickoff, how dangerous Hazlitt and Eddie Clark are. We saw Clark with a couple of big runs already, and Hazlitt creating some room for himself, but call this the dynamic duo in their backfield that can really do it all in special teams and offensively.
That'll be holding against the Lions. But Hazlitt is a Swiss Army knife for Peoria. 7:45 left here in the first quarter. Glad you're in with us. Joey Wright, John Camosa, John Michael, Cody Roskins, and Francisco Alonso up top with us. Peoria starts off the drive with a big handoff to Clark. Clark again wrapped up by Fisher. And that's the second time tonight, John, that Leslie Fisher has won that battle in the open field, but nevertheless, the second consecutive Peoria drive started with a loud first down by Clark.
Yeah, credit to Peoria High's offensive line, really creating a big hole right up the middle for Clark to just power through.
And Clark again. Clark again, shedding a tackle, looking to the corner. He's brought down inside the 10, near the 5. Eddie Clark, a workhorse early on.
How about this game for him early on? He's going to put up some big rushing numbers if this continues.
Continues to gash the Normal West defense. 1st and goal from the 7. See what Beckham does. Ran it himself for a touchdown earlier, now has his second of the evening. And Peoria will go ahead 2 scores.
Quick start for the Lions, exactly what they wanted.
.7:14 to play, and the Lions looking strong here early on. Now we'll see the 2-point conversion attempt. Here's a handoff up the middle, and that's an easy conversion for the Lions. Right up the middle, and John, that's where that offensive line is so big. Peoria has a lot of size up front. They've got a lot of skill up front. And it's Clark with 138 yards rushing early. Beckham with the 2 rushing touchdowns that have propelled Peoria to a 2-score lead.
They definitely take that pressure off their backs, creating a lot of room for them, a lot of holes. And you said 138 yards for Clark. They're certainly giving them that space to hit those holes. But how does Normal West answer now, Joe? You got to have that big spark like they did with Hess. You don't want to get in this position where you're down, because you know Peoria High gets the ball back, they potentially could score again.
It's going to come down to methodology, right? And what team does Normal West want to be? Because it's easy to catch yourself playing catch-up early on. You don't want to fall into that trap. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Do you think they maybe go for a slow and methodical drive, march it up the field?
I could see that happening.
Peoria again with that onside kick attempt, and it is fielded by Alex Willie, and he falls to the turf. Wiley, pardon me, on the field there, and that's risky for Wiley to get up there. Looked like that might have been going out of bounds. Was able to get the Wildcats in field position.
See what they can do on this drive, and Peoria High's defense doing a good job of containing Seabarth and Walker as well. Those are two big targets we touched on. See if Hess can get those guys involved as this game goes forward.
59 yards to the end zone for the Wildcats. Hess with a handoff here to Fisher to start the drive off. Got about half of what he needed. And John, maybe that signals a renewed commitment to the run for Normal West. Not that they haven't been running it, I should say, but a commitment to that slow and methodical type of drive.
Yeah.
Although that last drive was a little more pass heavy.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes too, Joe, you get in a hole, say you're down 2 or 3 touchdowns, you tend to go to the pass a little more to get something created offensively.
Fisher was sent in motion, but the offensive line in motion a little too early there and a false start.
Saw this too last week with Bloomington. Kind of getting in a groove and then those penalties tack on. And
see if that stalls out the Normal West offense. Officials conferring here. 47-yard line, and we'll see if perhaps maybe there was an additional penalty on the play or what comes out of this huddle. False start against Normal West. But that penalty declined. Or perhaps pardon me, John, there must have been 2 flags on that play.
I think there
because,
was, yeah.
The false start was
now it's gonna, okay.
Personal foul against Peoria High as well there, and that'll move the chains. So the mistake from Normal West, toss it out. Peoria miscue will move those chains. And I believe that was on Dion Hogan, the personal foul for Peoria.
I don't see him out there tonight.
In any case, Hess for Normal West on the fresh set of downs, gains a couple. And folks, that's the kind of game we're going to see tonight. We're going to see a lot of those situations where multiple flags, are going to come in, and it can be tough sometimes to discern.
Try to pick it up the best we can from this angle. Sometimes when those scrums kind of up the middle, can't really see unless you're right there on the field.
Yeah, we have a great view of numbers and names. Sometimes, though, it's tough to tell, especially the high crest, Peoria Stadium, when they're on that other side of the field. Can be a little bit tricky. Hess again has Fisher behind him, and in motion is Meyer. Meyer's going to come around, and they fake the handoff to Meyer. Hess kept it. And Peoria's defense was right in on it.
Doing a good job of getting in that backfield. I think they kind of learned their lesson from that first drive. Peoria High really sending the pressure on Normal West now.
So 3rd down and 8, John. We saw the first drive of the evening for Normal West. Pardon me, the second drive, the most recent drive to this point. They aired it out deep. They looked down the field a lot. Couldn't connect. I think that's what they go back to here.
I think you might have to, 3rd and 8. Try to find something up the middle with Zebarth or Walker.
Walker sent in motion, comes in tight, and Hess is going to try to go up the middle. Hess won't quite get to the first down, or maybe on the second effort he did.
Looks like he got a little push from the back there. He might have given that extra yardage.
Broke through from the pile, and those chains will move. And, John, this is exactly the drive the Wildcats needed.
Yeah, anytime you find yourself in a hole early against Peoria High, you want to make sure you're answering. I almost want to say you got to go back and forth with them if you want to hang, and that's what Normal West is trying to do right here. I'm sure they'd love to find the end zone early.
It's Hess out of the gun. And we will have a timeout called by Normal West. Nathan Fincham wants to talk things over with his team, and we will take this opportunity to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. With more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way, the U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. Proud to have the United States Army on board this evening. And again, that number at the bottom of your screen all afternoon, evening, night, I should say, long. 7 o'clock kickoff at Peoria Stadium this evening. The Lions play those 7 o'clock games. You see a lot of 6 o'clock games this season. The Mid-Illini Conference and others will get things going a little bit earlier. But it is a beautiful night for football at the legendary Peoria Stadium, John.
Certainly is. Nice temperature right now.
Peoria with 162 total yards thus far, 90 of those coming from Clark. Normal West with 79 yards, 71 of which came from Hess. Cody Roskins keeping stats for us this evening. John Michaels at the controls of our computer. Francisco Alonso on a step ladder tonight running our camera. Matt Harrington and Jacob Steinberg down low. New set of downs. And it's Fisher who starts them off. Gained a couple, and you see the scrum that ensues. Not a chippy game to this point, John, but a physical game. You know, neither side giving an inch, especially after the play.
And if this game stays close, we could see that heat up a little bit down the stretch. You know, both teams are extremely competitive, and as you'd expect in a Big 12 conference matchup. But early on, like you said, we've seen some penalties, but haven't seen too much offensive roughness, I should say.
Yeah, nothing egregious.
Yeah.
Yes, the only one in the Lions or Wildcats backfield, I should say. He's going to look across the middle, caught, and Jamari Meyer was 5 yards from the end zone before he was wrapped up and brought down. Robertson again on the tackle for Peoria. He's had to do a lot of work in that secondary. But Johnny stepped up and answered the call a couple of times now.
Had him wide open over the middle there. Obviously what Normal West wants, and the question is now, can they punch one in the end zone? Good position.
Two in the backfield with Hess. Dieris McCorder and Fisher, but Hess is going to keep it himself. Stopped at the line. Which pile wins? Peoria's pile wins, and Hess is brought down hard. So it's Isaiah Hess who's been the primary weapon for the Wildcats. If you're just joining us, scored on a 71-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage that Normal West ran. Has engineered a nice drive that has led the Wildcats down the field. John, do you think anything changes here on second down?
I don't think so. I think could see a potential Hess run again. Might have a handoff.
And it is a handoff to Fisher. Leslie Fisher looking for the corner. He is into the end zone. Touchdown, Normal West. And the Wildcats bring it back to within a couple of points. A loud rush there from Leslie Fisher, the star senior.
For those watching at home, Joe, if you're looking for a high-powered offensive battle, certainly tuned into the right game. I don't think you're going to see Normal West back down. Certainly not going to see Peoria High back down either.
28 early points, and we have not even played 10 minutes of football. Sen on for the extra point, got that one up a little bit higher, had his first extra point attempt of the evening blocked, knocks that one through, and a 3-point game. And remarking on Owen Sen just a little bit more here, we talked with Nathan Fincham before the game, John, and he's got a leg. They're not afraid to utilize him. He's hit from 33 and 37 this season, so of course we're a long way from seeing how this game plays out, but if it remains within 3 points late, Owen Sen could be the most important player on the field.
I like that idea, though, maybe just how he held the ball, or if they actually kind of elected to do that, but kick it a little higher, get a little arc on that. There's a lot of size, I should say height, on that defensive line for Peoria High, 6'4", 6'3". It's easy to get a quick jump and get a tip on a ball, so we're going to boot it up a little higher. Bo did well right there.
Yeah, only, from the goal line or just a little bit back. You don't have to drive it. You can pooch it up, and Sen is the keeper for the Normal West soccer team, boys soccer team that is, and sends this one deep, end over end kick. But it is returned. Here's Clark again for the second time tonight. Didn't get a chance to field the last one. It was kicked into the end zone. A little bit of space down the sideline, and a beautiful tackle knocks him out.
Another really nice return from Clark.
I believe that was Devontae Crawford, that came in and flipped him over.
Yeah, that Clark's definitely their do-it-all guy at the moment.
Wildcats set to defend. You get a look at the Peoria season to this point at the bottom of your screen. 3-1 in games they've played. Game against East St. Louis on the road, their one loss, technically an exhibition game. Only scored 19 in that one, but you can see it's an offense that can score some points. 7th in the latest AP poll, and brought down to the ground is Clark on the first play of the drive. Levi Hess in on the stop, and that's actually Isaiah Fisher on that rush. And here's Beckham. Beckham with a low throw. Hazlitt's able to get down, scoop it out. Not quite enough to move the chains, but John on 3rd and short. A lot of options for the Lions offense.
Go to that short pass, get a Beckham to be keeper, which we're going to see.
Beckham has enough for the first down. Beyond that, not a lot. Surrounded by white jerseys. And on the stop was Wiley. Pardon me, not Wiley, but rather Jonathan Thurman. Thurman, a defensive lineman, I should say. Here's Beckham. Beckham bounces it out. Beckham with space. Evades a tackle. Still on his feet. Shades of Karan Taylor as he stays on his feet, but he's knocked out of bounds.
What a run. And talk about the similarities with Karan Taylor. That looked like a Karan Taylor run for sure. Didn't want to go down on that one.
Remember a play Karan Taylor made against Urbana. I believe it would have been the 2017 season. Shook off. Must have bounced off 5 defenders. Beckham with the hard count, can't quite draw the offsides call. And a handoff up the middle to Fisher. Fisher into the pile. And Isaiah Fisher's had a nice drive, John, coming in for Eddie Clark. A multifaceted Lions offense. When someone goes out for a needed rest break, someone else can step in, and we see that here from Fisher.
Sure, they'd like to tack on one more before this first quarter ends.
Beckham brought down hard. We're working inside 40 seconds. Yeah, we sound like broken records, but they can dial it up and score on a whim. Do you think they go back to Beckham here? He has 2 runs for touchdowns himself.
Yeah, certainly not afraid to run it. Like you said, they got options, so I think we're probably going to stick to the ground. Might see another run here.
Handoff up the middle to Fisher. Fisher still up, but brought down a little bit short, and that ought to end the first quarter. You never quite know with Peoria, but it looks like it will. And it will end the first. 16-13 after a quarter. A lot of offense early on, a lot of tempo as well. Just the game we thought we would see. Into the second quarter we go. And we'll take this break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Want to make a big difference? Consider joining the U.S. Army. Your training can amplify your efforts all around the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits. Learn more by calling the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. And that number at the bottom of your screen all evening long. And again, that's AVKQ to GO Army, the United States Army. on board for the second week in a row, and we're glad to have him. And John will update you on a couple of statistical nuggets. 215 yards for Peoria to this point, 195 of those coming on the ground. 119 yards for Normal West, 92 of those yards coming on the ground. The Wildcats have been a little more pass-centric than Peoria has, but nevertheless, both teams still favoring the run.
Yeah, certainly are. And we've seen a well-balanced attack from both teams so far. And like what we've seen out of Hess as well as Beckham, pass and can run it on the ground, and Hess is trying to do that himself as well. But I think if Peoria High can get another one in here, we're going to have to see Normal West kind of keep that tempo, try to match them with a score again. And you don't want to give too many opportunities to score, like we said, or this game could certainly turn into a lopsided affair.
And one more thing of note, John, the 2-point conversions have been big for Peoria.
Certainly have.
See what Fisher can do here. He gets the handoff, and the Normal West defense responds. He's brought way back.
Is that enough to get the first? We'll see.
See if they give him forward progress. Peoria thinks they have it. And they do. They'll move the chains. First and goal from the 3-yard line coming up.
Makes it a little bit more comfortable knowing you got a fresh set of downs.
And a handoff to Fisher. Fisher lit up at the goal line. Did not get in. So many times over the course of a game, John, it comes down to which line goes first, the offensive line or the defensive line. Normal West line got through there. They're headlined by a couple of stars, Jonathan Thurman and company, but the Wildcats have made a couple of big stands to this point. Here's Beckham. Beckham's going to try to do it himself for the third time tonight. Is he in? Is he in? He is stopped short.
Normal West defense doing a good job of holding their own here on the goal line.
2 more plays to pay dirt for Peoria, or 2 more plays from a huge defensive stand are the Wildcats. Beckham again. He's going to try to go up the middle.
I think he's going to get that one easily.
Got in with no problem. 3rd rushing touchdown of the night for Darius Beckham. All but one of our 4 touchdowns tonight, 5 touchdowns now, have been scored by the quarterbacks.
Just goes to show you the talent behind center tonight. We knew we could see this out of Beckham. We showed that last week. Really talented quarterback. I'm sure Peoria High would love to hold on to him for one more year. He'll be done after this fall.
No extra year of eligibility for high schoolers. Movement at the line. Normal West thinks it's against Peoria. And John, owing back to that point I made on the 2-point conversions a moment ago, Peoria is ahead 2 scores now, even though both teams have kind of matched each other in terms of touchdowns. 2 for Peoria, or 2 for Normal West, pardon me, and 1 for Peoria. It's Beckham with Clark behind him. And Beckham looking over the middle, intercepted. And we'll see if Normal West can do anything here. They'll blow it dead.
Nothing going on that one. Good pick.
Preston Road on the big interception.
If Normal West can get something going on this ensuing drive. Another big touchdown here for Peoria High. Put them up 22-13, 10:49 left in the second quarter.
And another onside kick coming for Peoria. John, I had to step away for a second, so I don't know if I'm responding to anything you just said or if I got close.
I was just carrying it on, just saying the score, the time left, and it'd be big for Normal West to try to find the end zone here. Like I said, you don't want to get in a hole too far down where Peoria High just keeps adding up those touchdowns, and I think Normal West is going to be wanting one right here.
Onside kick on the ground that time, fielded by Wiley again. And John, that's a departure from how they normally operate. Those onside kicks, we've seen a lot of them punted up into the air.
And that one, you know, it takes an extra bounce or two, goes over your head or through your legs. You know, Peoria High could get back there and recover those little squib kicks. We've seen them do that. Doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional onside. They can, with their speed, can get back there on a squib and easily recover those as well.
They're a speedy bunch.
Certainly are. And see how Normal West responds. Joe, you think they're going to try to air it out a little bit on this drive or keep it to the ground? Peoria High's defense doing a good job of.
I would like to see them come out and take a shot here on first down and then maybe go back towards the run on the ensuing play. Hess is going to send Zebarth in motion, and he's going to take it himself. He uses the blockers in front of him, Fisher, to get enough for the first down. They will move the chains.
Hess does a good job of tucking his head and going right behind defenders, getting those extra yardage.
If you're just joining us, opened the Normal West scoring with a 71-yard run, and that was a run that was right up the middle as well. He used his blockers and found a path to the end zone. First down and 10. And a handoff to Fisher. Hess gives him a little shove as he sends him on his way, and Fisher is hit. Ball comes out.
Peoria says they might have it.
Referees will get to the bottom of the pile. Would be a big turnover, but it'll be second down instead. Normal West was able to fall on it.
Big break there for Normal West. Peoria High gets that ball back near midfield.
We've not seen a turnover tonight. Preston Road had an interception on the two-point conversion a moment ago. And especially in a game like this, John, the pace this has followed, a turnover, especially here for Normal West, really served to take them out of the game here.
Kind of seems right where we were at last week, you know, 22-13, somewhere in that vicinity, and that second half, the scoring really picks up.
Handoff to Devontae Crawford. Goes nowhere. A flag came in late. And while we await the call, John, there was a miscommunication defensively to start that off. Rayshon Buckner came running over to Jamarcus Webb. Webb was lined up at receiver, and he would have been wide open in towards us.
Haslett doing a nice job right there, getting the backfield.
That will go against Normal West. Penalty declined. Third down. More aggressive play calling from Peoria to decline the penalty and take the down. Would you call this four-down territory, John? I know it's third down and 4 coming up here, but
I would. I think we might see a pass here, too, Joey. I mean, something's got to start here for Normal West through the air a little bit too, just to keep that pace with Peoria High.
And we'll get a timeout to think about it. Peoria wants the timeout. They've got it, and we'll take this time to remind you, just real quick, that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Redefine your skills, inspire change, and make a difference with a career in the U.S. Army. Join us and be a part of something bigger than yourself. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. Clutch Sports Media, a proud organization to have the United States Army at the bottom of our screen tonight. That number at the bottom of your screen all evening, and that is AVKQ to GO Army. So third down and 8 coming up, 8:50 to play in the second quarter. Starting to get dark at Peoria Stadium. The lights are on. It will soon be fully under the guise of darkness. Good crowd on tap behind us. They await a big play. Zebarth and Walker in motion. Two big tight ends. Now we'll go back over to the other side of the field. Hess and Crawford. And Hess is dropping back. Looking out, and he finds Walker. Walker in near the sticks, has enough for the first down. And how about Corey Walker, the Western Michigan commit?
First time we've seen him have a touch tonight, but when he does, Joe, he's a tough player to bring down, a lot of size. Saw him kind of bully his way around on the basketball court this season. Does the same on the football field.
He's actually marched just a little bit short, so 4th down and 2 coming up here.
Big, crucial 4th down here for Normal West.
Webb and Meyer are lined up. Crawford behind Hess. See what they do. Do they go up the middle with Hess or Crawford? Hess is going to look to pass. Was hit as he threw. It's intercepted. And Peoria running it back. Crawford giving chase. Gets there in time. But a big interception. And Peoria forces the first turnover of the evening.
I think Hess had a little bit of time to throw there and just couldn't get it off as disrupted that one. Leads to a nice interception for Peoria High. And Joey, great field position here for the Lions. Chance to tack on another.
Hauling that one in was Trayvon Turner. And John, yeah, that sets the Lions up with a short field to drive. See everybody scramble to the other side of the field, knowing how quickly Peoria can turn it up. Flags come in as Beckham kept it up the middle, faked the handoff to Robertson. And we'll await the calls. And that will be against the Lions, so they'll march it back just a little bit. But it's the same thing we talked about earlier, John. Flags aren't necessarily a huge detriment to an offense like this.
You could lose 10 to 15 yards and gain them right back on a single play. I mean, saw that a lot. A touch back to last week. You know, those penalties hurt Peoria High, but it didn't really hurt them. You know, we say they got a lot of them, but then made up for them on the ground. And seeing the same tonight. Just a dangerous team when they run the ball.
Robertson in motion. Flags coming in. And that time, encroachment against Normal West. So the Lions get 10 back right there, right back where they started, 1st and 10. Clock winds, and we'll see what Peoria has to offer on 1st and 10. Little unconventional how we got here. Handoff. That is Clark back into the game for Peoria. Had a big start. Came out, and Fisher had a nice drive. Wasn't able to follow his blockers right there. Sets up 2nd down and 6. Here's Beckham. Beckham, pass was tipped, and Hazlitt couldn't quite get back to it. Good wherewithal from Hazlitt there to assume it was a live ball, but a forward pass and an incomplete pass at that.
Still got to play heads-up football. That does a nice job to just make sure.
So 3rd and 6 coming up.
Think they'll keep it on the ground here again, Joey?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Been working for them. Certainly has.
Got to watch Hazlitt too, though. Lined up against Leslie Fisher. 4 wide receivers for Peoria. Kept up the middle, and it is a run for Beckham. Beckham battling near the sticks.
Might have got it there. Picked up a couple extra yards.
See where they spot him. It was oh so close. Yep. And will move the chains.
They do a really good job of fighting for those extra yards, and it looks like they have them stopped. Did a good job of getting through some tackles and getting that extra yard or two.
Hazlitt again, the snap and a handoff up the middle. Several times now tonight we've seen that, John. Running back gets the handoff, goes right into the pile, and it's which team is stronger. Call that one a draw. Small gain. But credit that more to Clark. Second down, Clark again, tripped up. Looked like he tripped John as soon as he got the handoff from Beckham.
Yeah, he did, lost his footing there.
So a big third down. Normal West has stood its ground well defensively in these situations. Came up with a big stop earlier.
I think plays like this, or I should say possessions like this, are huge for Normal West to really try to stop them on the, in the red zone here.
Beckham, handoff, Clark, end zone. Waiting on the call. Was he a little bit short? He was, just a little bit short. So first and goal from the goal line, essentially.
See if I can grind it out for another one. There it is.
Beckham slithers in his fourth rushing touchdown of the evening. Darius Beckham having a brilliant performance tonight, and the Lions are up by 3 scores.
Almost overshadows the game Eddie Clark's had.
Yeah. Pardon me, 2 scores are the Lions up, but nevertheless. And that's kind of been the recipe, John, is feed Clark early and let Beckham finish a drive off. Handoff up the middle, and the Normal West defense will step up that time. So a 15-point game, 2-score game at Peoria Stadium.
Certainly not out of reach at all. Normal West, I'm sure they want to get something going here on the offensive end, but Joey, I think a score here in the first half would be crucial. You don't want to find yourself down 2 scores or potentially 3 scores against a high-power team like this.
No, you don't, and that's kind of what we saw last week in Peoria's win against Bloomington. It was close early on and got close late, but from the early third quarter on through about midway through the fourth, it was all Peoria. They really stepped up and dominated, and they were able to pull away. Really, I mean, we say it was close late. Bloomington kind of got back into it just with the way things fell, but they would never seriously threaten after halftime.
I think Peoria High gets in a position where they're so comfortable with being ahead. But I think, Joey, we saw them ahead 42-14. Took Bloomington almost that entire third and fourth quarter just to grind back to get within 15. I think Peoria High gets to where they're comfortable, and certainly some of those late scores for teams don't really faze them much.
They certainly don't. Held on for a 50-35 win a week ago. Onside kick fielded. Willie again on the reception. And Normal West back out onto the field. John, do they slow it down here again, or maybe do they dial it up with a quick shot on first down?
I'd probably try to slow it down if you can, kill a little bit of clock, because you're looking at 5:56 right now, and you don't want to leave Peoria High too much time on the clock here. So just a nice slow drive, see if you could get something going, or if you come out quick right out of the gate and get a quick score, that's not bad either.
See how they play it. Hess leads his team back out onto the field. Keep an eye on Jamarcus Webb. He's lined up near us, near side of the field. And we'll have a timeout called by Normal West. Normal West has gone through them. They're out of timeouts now for the half.
Gives them a chance to kind of figure out their offensive strategy here. And
go over the game plan. If you're just joining us, it's been Levi Hess for Normal West. They've also had a lot of success from the likes of Shamari Meyer and, of course, the star receiving duo of Corey Walker and Max Zebarth have been in on a lot of plays. Walker more so than Zebarth. See what Hass elects to do here. Leslie Fisher in with him. He's going to keep it himself again. See if he can rattle one off. Stays on his feet after one tackle. After 2 and 3, he's still on his feet. Won't be quite enough for the first down, John, but nevertheless, it shows what keeping those legs moving can do.
That's still a really nice gain on the ground there, and breaks a couple extra tackles, pick up those yarders. Gives them a better look at a first down opportunity here.
It'll be 2nd and 2. Crawford and Meyer jog out towards us. Meyer sent in motion. As Hess drops back to pass, but there's that Lions front line bursting through the offensive line, and a big sack.
There's Hazlitt again. It's been huge for the Lions, not only on offense, but defensively as well. 2nd sack of the game.
So you go from 2nd and 2 to 3rd down and 10, right back where they started. And John, the only recipe for success here might be a shot. Although keep an eye on Fisher in the backfield. Lions showing pressure. They don't have anyone back. They've got everyone on the line of scrimmage. Pressure coming in. Hess looking deep. A step for Meyer. But Meyer couldn't catch up to the pass. The second time tonight we've seen that, John, where Hess has a man downfield, but the pass just a little too strong. And that'll probably bring Sen back on for the punt.
Had him open again, just overthrew him a little bit. Like you said, Joey, that pressure, how quick they get in the backfield, doesn't give you a whole lot of time to really gather yourself and put a good throw on the money there.
Yeah, Peoria brought everyone near the line of scrimmage there. Didn't have anyone in the secondary, or didn't even have any linebackers lined up conventionally. Sen a punt here, end over end. Rolls to the 30. And it's downed by Meyer. So Peoria has an opportunity here, John, to run down some clock. We talk about how quickly this offense moves. But it is Normal West's ball to start the second half. And as the Normal West defense comes back out onto the field, highlight some key Wildcat defenders that we've talked about thus far tonight. Leslie Fisher has been brilliant in the open field. Harris McQuarter has been key as well. Levi Hess, the quarterback, has been in on a lot of stops. Lined up at linebacker here. And Jonathan Thurman as well. And it is Hess on the stop there. Pardon me, Preston Road, who had the big interception as Hess watches. But Preston Road not included in that. Stopped a 2-point conversion earlier. Road in on the stop again, along with Brian Fuss.
And Joey, we're kind of on the flip side of this now. We talked about Normal West, their last possession, a chance to kill some clock, maybe play it slow and methodical. Didn't really pan out for them. Peoria High, I know they like to play quick, but a chance for them to slow some clock down here and pick up another score before half.
Beckham drops back to pass. Hit as he threw. Fisher had it in his hands. It slipped through him. Punches the turf in disappointment. As our game clock goes down, we'll work to get that rectified. 3:29 left in the second quarter. We'll rectify that, pardon me. 2nd and 10. And John, going back to that last play, Normal West did a great job of getting to Beckham. That contact right as he threw it, forcing the incomplete pass. And there's a great second effort from the linebacking core of Normal West to halt the progress of Clark.
And putting that pressure on him, almost forced an interception. Fisher had that right in the tip of his hands, couldn't corral it. But I think that's what Normal West is going to have to be key for them, is really putting that pressure on the backfield and trying to limit their touches before they get through the line there.
3rd down and 7, it's Clark. Clark skirts past a couple defenders. Out to the Normal West sideline. Just a little bit short, I believe. We'll see where they spot it. A flag came in there, so we'll see what the flag is, and that'll be holding against Peoria, so either way. Didn't have enough, and he was spotted at midfield. Line to gain was the 48. That'll back the Lions up. John, Normal West could have elected to decline that penalty, take the down, and face a 4th and 2, but I think that's probably a wise call to take the yardage there.
Yeah, I agree. Push them back a little bit. But Joey, like we talked about earlier, it doesn't matter where you put them on the field, what down, how many yards they got to go, Peoria High can really make it happen.
Dropping back is Beckham, rolling out, looking for space, doesn't have any space.
Quarterback on quarterback there, Hess with the stop.
Beckham was trying to create something there. It looked like maybe the turf a little wet. I think he slipped up as Hess got to him. And that is why you take the yardage, instead of the down, because now it's 4th and 14 instead of what would have been a 4th and about 2.
Still going to go for it. That's no surprise.
Risky call here, Tim Thornton and company. Electing to go for it. Normal West set to receive the second half kickoff. Beckham couldn't quite get the defensive line to jump on the hard count. Drops back, looking long, looking deep, and that pass over the head of Buckner, and giving chase, I believe, was Fisher there for Normal West, and that's a turnover on downs and a short field for the Wildcats. Short 2-minute drill. So we work under 2 minutes of the first half.
Be a critical possession here for Normal West. Chance to cut it to within 1 touchdown with about 1:53 left in this game, Joey, but I think they can find one in the end zone and only trail by potentially a score at halftime. This is definitely a spot you want to be in as opposed to down 2. But you don't want to score too quick. You leave Peoria High too much time, they can go down there in a hurry.
And something to note is that Peoria has all 3 of its timeouts left. Normal West does not have a timeout here left in the first half. And here's a design snap to Fisher. Fisher with a run up the middle. Gained a couple, that'll keep the clock moving. First time we've seen that from Leslie Fisher this evening. Fisher listed as a quarterback, entered the season in competition with Colton Lindsay and Levi Hess for that starting role. Another small gain there for Normal West. Flag comes in late. That ought to go against Peoria. Came in well after the play ended.
It is indeed against Peoria High.
That'll set up a Normal West first down. Officials continuing to discuss it. So, John, the clock should stop here. It's at 1:29, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. And you mentioned you don't want to score too quick if you're Normal West, but you also need to make sure you're capitalizing and you're not passing up an opportunity to score if it presents itself. So, maybe a bit of a tricky spot, but nevertheless.
I think the first thing is just getting down that goal line, trying to give yourself a good position to score. Keep in mind, if Peoria High does make a stop here, they do have that leg behind them. Field goal kicker for Normal West.
they will move the chains. They eventually determine a spot for the ball, so it'll be first down and 10, not quite first and goal. Ball spotted at the 14-yard line. Fisher staying in. He's alongside Hess. He gets the snap, looks off to his right, tried to take it strong up the middle, but the Lions' defensive line holds strong. No opportunity for the Wildcats to stop the clock. Clock continuing to run. John, I think they've managed, with the help of that penalty, the clock very well here.
I certainly agree. Now you're in a really good position. The clock's going to wind down under a minute. Now the key is just finding that end zone.
Not any urgency for Normal West here. Hess gets that snap, tries to go up the middle. He's had success with that tonight, but the Lions step up and hold strong. Third down coming up. Normal West moving towards the line, not in any huge hurry.
And no timeouts, got to remember, too.
25 seconds and ticking. Hess the snap, looking off to the right to try and run it. Didn't get enough for the first down or the touchdown. He may have had enough for the first down, which would stop the clock as they move the chains. They stop the clock to measure. It is oh so close down there, and they will move the chains and give them the first down. So that gives them a brief pause here, working just north of 15 seconds to play. Clock winds, chains are set. Hess will spike it. Sets up second down and goal from the 4 with just under 11 seconds left.
It'd be a huge hold if Peoria High can get a stop. Also, on the flip side, it'd be a huge touchdown if Normal West can score here and cut it to within one touchdown.
What's the play call for Normal West, knowing that a run up the middle at stop might end the half?
I think they might see a short pass here.
10 8/10 of a second left. And Peoria will dip into its timeout reserve and stop the clock. Well, the clock was already stopped. But talk things over, I should say, with just under 11 seconds left. Peoria doesn't need to stop the clock, John. They want the clock to keep going. They wouldn't mind if it hit zeros right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And what do you think that conversation in the Peoria huddle's like? You see them huddled up at the goal line.
Probably just locked down, telling them lock down. I don't let anything surprise you right now. Stay on your game, because Joey, wouldn't surprise me if we see a potential fake handoff and a throw, something to kind of catch them off their guard. But it's hard to say what they're going to do if they're going to pass or run, because you got to think 10 seconds. This is your one play. If you don't get it, you're not going to get it back.
Second down and goal. We'll see what they do. It's Hess dropping back, looking to pass, going over the middle and incomplete. That was intended to Zebarth. So the Wildcats will have at least one more. And John, it's exactly what you talked about. Clock stops, so they get that one play left. But if that's a run up the middle, you're putting your chips on the table.
Looked like he had Zebarth there, just overthrew him a little bit. Could see another play like that on this possession.
Two teams that combined for 335 yards in the first quarter have combined for under 70 in the second. 4 yards to the end zone will be the biggest for Normal West tonight. Dropping back to pass is Hess, tipped and incomplete over the middle. One play left for the Wildcats, who have the second half kickoff.
They're not going to go for a field goal, it doesn't look like.
Field goal would make it, of course, a 12-point game.
I think their logic here, you got to score. I think field goals aren't really going to keep you in the game either. We know how quick Peoria High can score, so you got to score when you can and see if they can punch one in here.
Could be the last play of the half. Normal West looking for the end zone. Dropping back is Hess. Hess floating it up for Walker in the corner of the end zone. He got it. Touchdown, Normal West. Got the foot in. And the Wildcats, with zeros on the board, strike back to end the half Extra point pending. What a play from Walker.
Western Michigan commit, first touchdown of the game, and couldn't have came at a better time for Normal West. Just gets that foot in. We got a ball game, Joey.
We certainly do. Extra point pending. Owen Sen on to attempt it. Had his first attempt blocked, was good on the second, and his third extra point attempt of the evening blocked as well, so it stays at a 2-score game entering halftime. The Lions can take solace in that as they march to the locker room with an 11-point lead, or a 9-point lead, pardon me. Normal West will huddle up on the grass behind the end zone. So, John Camosa, your thoughts on the first half? It was a good one. 2 scores entering the second, but it feels wide open.
Really well-balanced attack from Peoria High. Come out with that halftime lead, and good job by Normal West, not backing down by any means, but ultimately Peoria High so dangerous on the ground in that first half. We've seen Beckham and Eddie Clark really run up those yardage totals. We'll see if we see the same type of game in the second half, Joey.
We certainly will. We will take a quick break for halftime, but first we will take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. With more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way, the U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. And that number at the bottom of your screen all night long. And that's where we'll leave it for you in this first half. We'll take a break for halftime, but the countdown to the second half at the bottom of your screen, so stay with us. 28-19, the Peoria lead. Back for more on ClutchSportsIL.com after this. From Peoria Stadium in Peoria, Illinois, Clutch Sports Media back in with you for a presentation of Big 12 football, a semifinal matchup in the 2021 Big 12 tournament. The winner advances to play the winner of Normal Community and Quincy Notre Dame next week for the Big 12 title. That game is at 7 o'clock next Friday. Halftime score from that one is Quincy Notre Dame 16, Normal Community 0. We had not remarked about that game during the first half, but a big one to keep an eye on, and we'll keep an eye on that throughout the second half. But John, as we welcome the second half of this one, two-score game. Normal West had some momentum there late in the first half. They scored a late touchdown, zeros on the board, a very late touchdown, I guess, at that, but the extra point was blocked, so it stands at a two-score game. Normal West does have the second half kickoff, at least if they can recover what we would expect to be an onside kick. Not out of it, certainly by any means. It feels ironic, or not ironic, but weird to say that, a 28-19 game, but you know what I'm saying. Peoria can really pull away on you quick. Yeah,
they can, and I think, Normal West has really shown in that first half that they're not backing down from a challenge whatsoever. Peoria High, getting that one score, going up 2 touchdowns, but Normal West coming back and responding. In a critical drive right there when they really needed Corey Walker to step up and him getting in the end zone as the clock expired. That was big, Joey. And if we're looking at a situation where, say, Peoria High makes a stop there or Normal West doesn't convert, it might have a little bit of different feel in this game. But I think Normal West is right where they want to be, and see how the second half kind of plays itself out.
We certainly will. Some stats from the first half. Taking a look first at Peoria. 243 total yards. 202 of those, John, were on the ground. 41 of them came through the air. It was Darius Beckham with all 4 touchdowns for Peoria, all 4 of those coming via the rush. Eddie Clark had 123 rushing yards, 25 accepted penalty yards for Peoria. And then taking a look at Normal West, 156 total yards, 119 of those coming on the ground, 37 of them were passing yards. 119 came in a strong first quarter, but only 37 in quarter number 2. And it was Hess with 113 all-purpose yards, a rushing touchdown, and a passing touchdown. And that's really where a lot of the Normal West offenses started, with Levi Hess, the quarterback, and Darius Beckham, of course, the quarterback for Peoria. You could say the same for him, with 4 rushing touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, and Hess doing so much on the ground and through the, he's had a little bit of struggle through the air, but it was big there finding Walker. We just talked about that last play of the first half. Also doing a lot on the defensive end, getting in there, getting some stops right in the middle. Got to the quarterback a few times and Beckham. And I think if Normal West can just keep that intensity up, keep playing the game they're playing, maybe limit a couple mistakes there on the defensive end, be right back in this ball game, Joey, and I think we're going to see an entertaining third quarter and potential fourth quarter.
Normal West has to be ready. We've seen a lot of onside kick attempts from Peoria this season. That's an area they pride themselves in. And John, talking about the two-way ability of Levi Hess real quick, just want to highlight Leslie Fisher also. He's been big on the defensive side of the ball, and he has also taken a couple snaps at quarterback for Normal West. It's been almost all Hess, but Fisher came in for a couple of different looks late in the second quarter. And a lot of two-way guys on both sides.
Yeah. A lot of talent on both ends. And see if Normal West, I think they probably want to, they're heavily covered, but try to get Walker and Zebarth more involved in the second half.
Ricky Hearn on the onside kick. That was kicked right at Jamarcus Webb. Webb comes down with it. And right around midfield is where Normal West will start the second half. Football, a game of two halves, of course. We saw that last week as Peoria pulled away from Bloomington. I think we see Normal West come out with maybe a different wrinkle, a bit of a different look offensively here to start things off.
I think when you add the magnitude of the game as well, you're not just playing a regular season. Well, you are playing a regular season, but it's got that postseason vibe feel to it because it is a postseason conference game. You're in a semifinal. You're going to play as hard as you can until that final horn, and let's expect Normal West to really come out with a lot of intensity here in this third quarter.
Zebarth was in motion, which drew some attention away from Hess. Hess with a small gain on first down, and that's how the third quarter gets underway. Joey Wright and John Camosa in on the call with you. Also want to spotlight our great team around us. Jonathan Michael at the controls of our computer tonight. Cody Roskins keeping stats for us. Francisco Alonso on a stepladder this evening is running our camera. Matt Harrington and Jacob Steinberg doing some great work for us down at field level, taking pictures and videos. Jacob Steinberg got a great shot of that Corey Walker touchdown to end the second quarter, so keep an eye out for that. Dropping back is Hess. Hess looking for Meyer. Couldn't quite connect with Meyer. Normal West receivers have gotten open a couple of times downfield tonight, John, but that's really been the story of the passing game for the Wildcats, as they just can't quite connect with each other, Hess and the receivers.
I was going to say, Joey, yeah, like you said, probably had open guys 4 or 5 times throughout this game. They're underthrow and overthrow, just can't really find that happy medium right there, and I think they obviously want a couple of those back.
3rd down and 7. Hess with Fisher. Drops back, looks deep quick. That's to Meyer, over his head. Meyer was looking opposite the ball as the ball was thrown. I don't think he quite realized it was in the air. Sets up 4th and 7. And it looks like the early indication, John Camosa, is that Normal West will try to go for it. They are in enemy territory, albeit slightly. The ball's on the 47-yard line. But perhaps this is that different wrinkle, right? That little extra aggression, that little extra edge.
I think, too, on that previous play, we've seen a couple overthrows from Hess, and I think that's credit to Peoria High's defensive line, just really doing a good job of getting back there and disrupting Hess in the backfield.
4th down and 7. Dropping back is Hess. Hess skirting away from the defense. Deep ball to Walker. Walker dives, but he can't get to it. It's a turnover on downs. That was not a bad ball to Walker, although he had to move a lot late to get towards it and just couldn't quite do it. Got to credit, John, the Peoria defensive line getting through the offensive line. They brought a lot of pressure. Hess, I think all told, did a good job of getting the pass off, but just couldn't get the pass off like he wanted to.
Like we said, it's hard to do, Joey, when you get that much pressure on you to really connect and find your man downfield, hit him right on the dot. And Peoria High doing a good job of just disrupting back there, as we mentioned.
Darius Beckham takes the snap, hands off to Eddie Clark. That's been such a dynamic duo tonight, and Clark gains a couple on 1st down.
Eddie Clark so big for Peoria High in that first half.
John, I was thinking about this at halftime. I don't quite know what the Peoria High School record is for rushing touchdowns in a game, and I imagine that's got to be a pretty high mark with the offense that they've ran over the years and the personnel that they've ran it with over the years. So Clark gets this handoff. He might have his first rushing touchdown of the night. He will. Eddie Clark, open field in front of him, the end zone, touchdown Peoria. And just like last week, it's the Peoria Lions opening the second half strong.
Right up the middle. Nothing but daylight.
Eddie Clark, his first rushing touchdown of the night, and I was just getting ready to say the 4 from Beckham had him on pace for a special second half, but he shares the load, and it's a little surprising that that's the first for Clark tonight, John, because the formula for Peoria is that he's had a couple of big gainers that get the Lions down the field. There's been some great open field tackling from Normal West that sets Darius Beckham up with a chance to finish it off. That time, no one could bring him down.
He had, that Peoria High offensive line so good up front and creating that hole for Clark to get right through. And Joey, I believe this is the 3rd time that Normal West has stopped a 2-point conversion, so those are going to obviously be crucial for them trying to get back in this game.
If you're just joining us, you missed me struggle with math several times in the first half, but it's a 15-point game, so still a 2-score game. Really, John, the situation is not any different than it was. Obviously, Peoria has a bigger lead, but functionally, the way this game is played, Normal West figured they probably needed 2 touchdowns to get back into it, and now they have a chance to accomplish that. A touchdown and a 2-point conversion is all they need. It is a 15-point game, right? Call me on that.
Yeah, and Joey, I think, like, I mean, we talked about this, it's so cliche, but each possession is so crucial for Normal West. Going back to that previous possession, going for it on 4th and long, you almost have to. You get Peoria High the ball back, we're going to see things like that unfold, and the more you can hang around and be in this game till the final horn, you know, you want to find yourself in a hole where Peoria High gets another score, then you're ultimately out of this game. Peoria High just so dangerous.
Trayvon Turner with probably the fastest onside kick we've seen Peoria attempt in the last 2 weeks. That one was right at the Upman for Normal West. And off a deflection, it goes out of bounds. Do want to point out, at the tail end of the halftime break, John, we were watching Owen Sen, Normal West kicker, practice from 25, 30 yards out. You know, he looked good. He was maybe practicing the arc on some of those kicks. He's had 2 extra points blocked tonight. They will wave off the flag because it was deflected off of a Wildcat. Unfortunately, didn't see who it went off on. Functionally does not change a whole lot. And John, I'm keeping an eye here on that offensive-defensive line battle. Normal West is going to have to create some blocks.
I'll see who comes out on top on this drive.
Pitch back to Fisher. Fisher surrounded by Maroon. And Leslie Fisher dropped for a big loss. So not how Normal West wanted to start that drive off.
Find themselves in a 2nd and 16 situation. Not really the spot you want to be in against Peoria High's defense. Peoria High's defense has really turned it up a notch too, Joey.
They really have. They stepped up after the big touchdown rush from Hess, of course, that started off the scoring, but the scores for the Wildcats since their first play of the game have been few and far between. One at the tail end of the half with zeros on the board and the other kind of in between. Three receivers out towards us, and a flag comes in from the secondary. And I believe that was an illegal shift against Normal West. 2nd down coming up. Just when the Wildcats were backed up, that's not a mistake they could really afford to make.
No, not at all, and I think we might have to see Hess go to the air again, which, like we said, he struggled a little bit trying to find his guys downfield with the pressure that they're applying on him. They really don't have too much of an option here.
Dropping back, firing a dart over the middle to Walker, off Walker's hands. John, you know, it's been interesting to watch that deep ball from Hess tonight because the receivers seem to be getting a step. They seem to be getting past the Peoria secondary. You know, those defensive backs and the safeties just don't seem to be as quick off the jump, but and I don't want to put it all on Hess, of course, because there is good pressure from Peoria, but just for one reason or another, Hess hasn't quite been able to connect down the field. Usually missing a little bit long.
Yeah, it's, you know, tough to find pressure like this in the area. You don't see a lot of teams defensively apply as much pressure as Peoria High really puts on teams, so it does make it a challenge, but.
There's Hess again, that's into coverage. Thrown just a little bit out of bounds, but that would have been a tough play for Crawford to make anyways. Maybe Tim Thornton's got the Clutch Sports Media feed in his ear because Peoria's secondary was on it there.
Certainly were. And Joey, if this is kind of unfolding how it's going to play out for the rest of the game, if Hess can't really find his targets, they're going to have to rely more on a run, and that's tough to do with how good Peoria High's defense has been so far.
Send to punt it away, gets that one off. Back deep to return, Isaiah Haslett, but he'll watch that and go out of bounds. Peoria as a program, John, they pride themselves on toughness. It's a great culture that head coach Tim Thornton has presided over, but of course a great assistant, Coach Bass around him, I should say, and that culture really starts up front. It's the linemen, it's the offensive lines, it's the defensive lines, and that defensive line is not going to give in easily for Normal West, as maybe they are forced to migrate towards the run.
Yeah, we've seen this so many times this season. It's so hard to stop Peoria High on the ground. really ultimately not an answer for it right now, and try to limit them the best you can, but that's a tall task.
And it's tough to limit Beckham, as Darius Beckham has a nice gain on a designed run. And for Normal West, we talk about culture. Nathan Fincham, the head coach for the Wildcats. They have strong defenses year in and year out. It's a defense that has to dig in here. Movement on the line. And that was not a flag coming into the background, but rather a football being tossed on the sidelines. Beckham still on his feet here, and he is going to be brought down as he tried to move laterally. Dearis McCorder in on the stop. McCorder's a guy that we asked Coach Fincham about prior to the game, and talented linebacker. We've seen him utilized in the offense as well tonight. Now lines up as a defensive back, and this is thrown out to the flat for Buckner. Stopped on first down.
Good stop there for Normal West. Getting in the backfield. Ultimately going to want to make a big stop here, Joey, and try to get that ball back.
One thing I think that Normal West might have working for them is that Peoria is a very deliberate team. You know, if you can stop them on 4 downs, you'll get the ball back. You don't have to worry about whether they're in field goal range or not. It's touchdown or bust. As a false start will back them up just a little bit, 5 yards.
And like you said, you know, Joey, not kicking a field goal, you know, all season and going for it on 4th down. They're going to go for it when they're 4th and 21, 4th and 15. Kind of opens the door for a team like Normal West to potentially make a stop. And now they got them at 2nd and 15. I'm sure they want to limit them in the backfield there.
See if they can get into the backfield again. 2nd and 15. Handoff up the middle to Clark. It's Clark who gets out of the backfield and into some space. He's got enough for the first down. Was held up enough to where the Normal West defense could catch up and bring him down. But Eddie Clark, again, has had a great second half. It was Beckham with 4 touchdown runs in the first half. Eddie Clark's on his way. He's not in the backfield here. Beckham will keep it again. Beckham trying, staying on his feet. Pursuing him, I believe that was Willie.
Seen that so many times from Beckham, just getting through a tackle and breaking a few extras, picking up that extra yardage. So strong, you know, in the backfield.
Jacob Rumley in on the stop. Takes a 1st and 15 to 2nd and 2, a flag coming in.
Move the chain.
I was going to say that'll go against Normal West. Caught myself watching Jonathan Michael bring in that beautiful flag animation. John doing a great job at our computer tonight. Not quite 1st and goal, rather 1st and 10 from the 14. Handoff to Clark. Clark moving towards the end zone is brought down just a little bit short. That might be enough for the first down. How about that, John? 4-yard window to get the first down, and he found it. 1st and goal.
Effective tonight, and a lot of his runs just coming straight up the gut.
Another one there. That time Normal West was ready for it. And this is not a bad position for Normal West defense to be in. They've stopped a couple of 2-point conversions tonight. I believe they've held pat on 3 of them. Also come up with some big stops down here. Another handoff. This time they were looking for Fisher. And he was oh so close, but short. Now a couple of subs coming in. Clark, I believe he's coming out and into the game as Tim Petty. Keeper for Beckham. Beckham only needed a little bit, and he got it. Touchdown Lions, Beckham's 5th rushing touchdown of the night. And Darius Beckham has been a nightmare to stop.
Talked about earlier in the game, Joey shades of Cron Taylor, and how about that, 5 touchdowns, certainly mimicking what he did that state championship season. But how effective is this Lions offense right now? There's nothing that's slowing them down whatsoever.
No, and they have followed, I've said this a couple times, that kind of same pattern of success. They will march it down the field with the running backs, predominantly Eddie Clark. Isaiah Fisher has also been a big part of that. And then it's Beckham who will finish it out late. As the Lions will go for 2.
Flag's going to come in.
So we work through just a little technical problem here, but we've got it figured out. So that flag, as you said, against Peoria, John, will back the Lions up 5 yards from the 8. Rolling out. Pass near the pylon.
Not going to get it.
It was Jalen Robinson, Marcus Alexander Neely in at quarterback for that attempt. We saw him a little bit last week as well. Came in relief of Beckham once the game was largely decided against Bloomington and threw a touchdown pass, looked good. Couldn't quite connect there. He connected with Robinson, but Robinson could not find the end zone.
Be the 4th stop for Normal West, preventing that 2-point conversion from crossing that goal line.
And how big would an onside kick recovery be here for Peoria? They've not recovered one tonight or last week, and we used last week as a benchmark because, of course, we were here at Peoria Stadium for that one. Lions with a big win over the Purple Raiders of Bloomington. Trayvon Turner again on the onside attempt. Big-time senior for Peoria. Sends this one quickly to the front line, and Leslie Fisher right there for Normal West.
Seen that quite a bit. Normal West just happened to fall on it quick. Peoria High almost getting back there and recovering it for a second time.
So a big drive coming up for Normal West. Cody Roskins informs me, John, Eddie Clark nearly 200 yards on the ground to this point. We'll see if we see him again. Obviously, Normal West in this upcoming drive will have a big role in that. But Clark and Beckham, a knockout 1-2 punch for the Lions tonight. Peoria is going to bring some pressure here. Dropping back, looking, pardon me, there was a lot to digest on that play as Colton Lindsay is now in at quarterback. The storyline there. The B plot was the pressure from Peoria and nearly a completion out to Zebarth, but John, he was just a little bit behind the ball as route took him down the field. But a strong throw there from Lindsay on his first passing attempt of the night.
Looks like they're going to stick to that passing game, see if Colton Lindsay can come in and provide that spark that they need. Ultimately, Joey, the game's not over. We saw that last week with Bloomington mounting a big comeback. Key is Normal West just to try to find that end zone in this quarter and make a couple big stops on defense.
Lindsay, a junior for the Wildcats, was trying to draw the Lions offside there, and instead a false start backs him up another 5 yards. Lindsay, though, a junior, likely the future of this Normal West program, at least at the quarterback position. Levi Hess, a senior. And Lindsay's dropping back to pass. Looking deep for Walker, just over the head of Corey Walker. And credit a strong defensive effort from Hazlitt there, John.
Just not a whole lot working in the passing game to this point.
Not a whole lot working in general, just 16 yards for Normal West in this third quarter. But still only a 3-score game and a 21-point game at that. Lindsay the only one in the backfield. And we'll have a timeout called by Normal West. So the Wildcats want to talk things over. First called timeout of the half. The Wildcats were the first to go through their timeouts. Pardon me, this is a Peoria timeout, John, so throw that out the window. The Wildcats were the first to go through their set of timeouts in the first half, but Peoria takes this one. And we'll take this break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Want to make a big difference? Consider joining the U.S. Army. Your training can amplify your efforts all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits. Learn more by calling the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. That's AVKQ to GO Army, and that number to call is at the bottom of your screen all game long. And again, it's 309-689-0071. So out of the timeout, it was taken by Peoria. It's Normal West with a 3rd and long. Colton Lindsay in his first 2 plays has passed both times, tried to pass on play number 3, but was dropped for a big loss. In on the sack, Trayvon Turner.
Very high defense getting in there yet again. Normal West going to have to punt. Joey, things are looking really good for Peoria High late in this third quarter.
Owen Sen, is in to punt. He's punted a number of times tonight, and it's getting to the point, as you alluded to, John, that Normal West is going to have to come up with some big defensive stops. Takes a Peoria bounce and is down at the 40. But, John, going back to last week, Peoria and Bloomington, we've referenced that one a number of times. It feels like a remarkably similar game. Peoria started to open it up at this point in the game, and Bloomington was able to get back into it late. Couple of big interceptions over the middle. Jack Weltha came up with both of them for Bloomington. I think they came a little bit too late for the Purple Raiders to really seriously consider getting back into it. They lost by 15, but you know, I bring that up as an example because if Normal West can come up with those plays just a little bit sooner, before 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, wouldn't be obviously in great shape with this lead, but they'd be in better shape and in shape to perhaps get back into it.
Yeah, it starts with the defense and then obviously getting something going on that offensive end, which kind of seen them a little stagnant so far, but it's credit to Peoria High, just really putting that pressure on them. Makes it hard. See Normal West filter through Hess, try to get Lindsay out there behind center to get something going, and it's not working for them right at the moment.
Winner of this one advances to play the winner of Quincy Notre Dame and Normal Community next week, next Friday at 7 o'clock in the Big 12 tournament title game. Big 12 tournament this year, a byproduct of the 6-week COVID-19 shortened season. Not every conference doing it like the Big 12 is. The Big 12 elected to play a 6-week schedule with the first 3 weeks regular season in air quotes, and then the final 3 weeks a tournament of the top 8 teams in the conference. Peoria here by virtue of a win against Bloomington last week. Normal Community unable to play Centennial, so they got that one by way of a forfeit, and Eddie Clark wrapped up on that one, and it's Levi Hess in on the stop.
Talking about those defensive stops, and they're going to need more of that.
And again, that Quincy Notre Dame Normal Community score was 16-0, favoring QND at halftime. Try to track down an update for you as we move forward. Beckham dropping back to pass. Wildcat defense was on it. Pass to nobody, 3rd and 15. So Normal Community, John, 2 plays away from what would be a big stop. Would obviously expect this to be 4-down territory for the Lions, and if it's not, even better for Normal West, right?
Definitely. But as you would expect, Peoria High going to go for it, see if they can convert.
3rd down and 15. Here's Beckham. Beckham goes out to the sideline, and it was caught by Levi Hess. Or Dietrich Pollard. I had the wrong sheet pulled up in front of me. My goodness. That was 3rd down, so 4th down coming up right here. Scoreboard operators weren't quite on it because the stick said 3rd down. Upstairs they assumed 4th.
There you go, 4th and 10 now.
From the 35-yard line. In motion is Pollard. Pollard stops, lines up near side. See if maybe they go over the middle to him. Beckham dropping back. Beckham looking, hit as he was getting rid of it, and that pass is intercepted. 2nd interception of the evening for Preston Road, and the first one that will count. Remember, that first one was back on the 2-point conversion attempt. But that is the 2nd time Beckham's thrown a ball that he's caught. Not the stop they needed on 4th down. They didn't need the pick, but they'll take that either way. Spot it right at midfield, 50 yards to the end zone for the Wildcats.
Good heads-up play there for Road. See if that provides that spark that Normal West needs right now. Gives them another chance at Lindsay behind center to get something going for the Wildcats.
Colton Lindsay in relief of Levi Hess. Hess is still a big part of the Wildcats defense. Here's a pass over to Meyer. Jamari Meyer creating some magic after the catch. He's in the end zone for a Wildcat touchdown. First completed pass thrown by Colton Lindsay tonight. Goes for a 50-yard touchdown to Jamari Meyer. And just like that, Normal West threatening again. Extra point would make it a 14-point game.
Certainly not out of it by any means. Like I said, Joey, they needed a score quick, and didn't waste a whole lot of time to get that one in the end zone.
Easy to run the numbers for that one. A 1-play, 50-yard drive, extra point up and good from Owen Sen. And John, that's been a big part of Normal West's approach, the deep ball. The air raid, and they haven't quite been able to make it happen tonight. But Colton Lindsay trying to change the narrative. And he has Normal West just a big stop away from getting right back into this one.
Certainly does. See what Normal West can do here on the defensive end. Try to get another big stop and see if they can get a stop and a score. It's a whole new ball game.
Exactly. Stands at a 14-point game right now, as you see on the bottom of your screen. And still just over 15 minutes of game time left. Eddie Clark and Isaiah Hazlitt back to return for Peoria. Sen will kick it deep. Sen has kicked it beyond those guys a couple of times tonight. Set to give it a ride. Clark has had a couple of opportunities to return tonight as well. And he will watch that one stop at the 1-yard line, and he's got to make a play. Eddie Clark from the 1. Going nowhere. And that took a fortuitous bounce, to say the least, for the Wildcats. Eddie Clark was content to watch that one roll into the end zone for the touchback, and it had a mind of its own, stopped right at the 1.
Late in this third quarter, being down 2 scores, Joey, and needing things to go right for you, couldn't ask for a better bounce on that one. Thinking that was going to go right over his head. like you said, took that bounce, kind of had a mind of its own there, and chance for Normal West to hold Peoria High at a tough spot here.
First down and 10. Beckham starting things off with a handoff. Bouncing off some tackles is Fisher. Fisher knocked out of bounds. And John, that kickoff, this is a natural grass field, of course. Peoria Stadium noted for its high crown. I don't know quite that the camera does it justice, but the middle of the field much higher than the sidelines are. And at night, it's going to play a little bit softer with all the moisture in the air, and especially as it's been worn in. There's been a lot of traffic down there at the goal lines, and a lot of traffic right around midfield, which is the area that we're approaching now.
Another good keeper there from Beckham. Joe, he's been so effective on the ground tonight when there's nothing there through the air. Or
flags fly in as Fisher is brought down. And Fisher was brought down hard, so maybe
like a face mask.
Yeah, yep. That's what they're signaling. Well, that'll set the Wildcats back 15 yards. The officials were right on that, and that's not what Normal West needed.
They certainly didn't.
But it goes back to the point we discussed a little bit ago. It's that bend, don't break mentality, because Peoria is going for the end zone. You don't really have to worry about field goal range if you're Normal West. See what Beckham can do. Hands off to Fisher. Fisher got a couple. And even as Clark has departed on some of these drives, Fisher has stepped in and done just as well.
We talked about that 1-2 punch. You got Hazlitt, you got Beckham back there and Clark, but Fisher could easily come in and pick up the slack too.
Beckham again trying to get that front line to jump. A little bit of motion down there, not quite enough to draw the flag. And it is a handoff to Fisher. Fisher swallowed up right at the line of scrimmage. Third down. So Normal West 2 plays away from a big stop. Peoria 5 yards away from a big first down. Wildcats start to creep back into this one. Peoria wants to keep that clock going. They want to keep that score rising. It's Beckham. Beckham with a little jump pass right in front of him. And it is completed, and it is enough for the first, but pardon me here as a flag came in, and they're going to measure it.
Late flag?
Yeah. And the flag a little bit obstructed there, but now it's in plain view, and that will go against Peoria is the initial indication. And John, that might have been, awaiting the call, that might have been an illegal forward pass from Beckham. When he got rid of that, it looked like he was right at the line of scrimmage.
Similar to what we saw in that first quarter on that trick play. It's over the line a little bit.
Yep.
Looked close, but
that player referring to an Eddie Clark touchdown pass that was wiped off the books. Here's a throw over the middle in the hands of Buckner. Fisher was there for Normal West. The grass, it falls.
Another huge stop for Normal West.
And that is the turnover on downs the Wildcats were hoping to force. Queued up, of course, by the loss of down from the illegal forward pass. Minute 42 left in the third quarter of play. Last drive for Normal West, pretty easy to recap. Colton Lindsay and the Wildcats offense stormed onto the field through a 50-yard touchdown pass and walked off. That was hauled in by Jamari Meyer. We'll see if they go back to him here. Lined up towards us is Jamarcus Webb. Wildcats down 2 scores, trying to change that. Floating one up for Zebarth, and Zebarth on the dive just couldn't quite hang on. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Almost had that one. Would have been a really nice catch. And they got men downfield, Joey. We've seen some openings, just a little bit slightly overthrown.
Yeah, and if that had been, it was open field in front of Zebarth, and he had ran a good route, just a little bit off on the throw. But Lindsay has looked strong tonight. He's only thrown a handful of passes. Throwing another one here, going out to the sideline. Couldn't quite connect with Meyer. So John, 2 incomplete passes on 1st and 2nd down. Probably sets up another passing situation on 3rd down.
Yeah, I think Lindsay's kind of in that pass-first quarterback. Haven't really seen them do much on the ground. And I think if they could keep trying it, one of these has got to connect. We saw that touchdown there. If they cut it to two touchdowns. I think it's working for them a little bit if they can try to get something going here.
Lindsay with Fisher. Dropping back, quick drop, over the middle and caught. And that is enough for the 1st down. Who else but Jamari Meyer?
Similar to what we saw in his touchdown. That made it 40-26. And you know, Joey, maybe it's not so much air it out deep, just work on those little slant passes and pick up that extra yardage.
Normal West quick to the line. They don't run an offense as quickly as Peoria's. And brought down hard is Lindsay. Peoria's defense was ready for it. Lindsay dropped hard. That'll set up 2nd and long. Normal West just 2 of 10 in the passing game since the start of the 2nd half. Those 2 completions, of course, big ones. The 1st down a moment ago and the touchdown on the Wildcats' last drive. But, John, at least I get the sense that maybe Normal West is starting to settle in. Obviously, the big sack there doesn't help that case, but they do look a little more comfortable throwing the ball.
Yeah, they do.
5 wide receivers, and now a man in motion for Lindsay. He's dropping back, looking for space, hit as he threw it. Incomplete, 3rd and 20 coming up.
Not a whole lot of time to throw back there. Peoria High still applying a lot of pressure to the quarterback, making it tough for Lindsay to get him off in time.
The moment not lost on the Peoria fans behind us. They are as loud as they've been all evening. Because, John, if Normal West can't pick this up, the clock is going to start to work against them. Not 4th down, but 3rd. They have 2 chances if they elect to make it 4-down territory. Lindsay dropping back. In trouble again, hit hard. Still up, but now he's down. He was rocked in the backfield. The grass he goes. In on that one was Hazlitt and a number of Lions. 4th down and an eternity coming up, and I think we'll face it on the other side of the quarter break. Into the 3rd, Peoria 40, Normal West 26. Take this quarter break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Redefine your skills, inspire change, and make a difference with a career in the U.S. Army. Join us and be a part of something bigger than yourself. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. AVKQ to GO Army, or call 309-689-0071. John, 4th down and long. They haven't quite spotted it yet as they switch fields, but the ball is spotted at the 45-yard line now and call the line of gain, the line to gain, I should say, the 30. So
looks like we're going to see send back here to punt. Not going to go with that risky 4th and long like Peoria High likes to, but ultimately you're not out of that game, so probably a good idea to just punt here as they do.
Hazlitt watches that one go back. It's going to be down inside the 15. Right around the 10-yard line, in fact. So that'll set the Lions up with a potential 90-yard scoring drive, or the Wildcats up with 90 yards to come up with a big stop.
Big fourth quarter, though. Chance for Peoria High to try to put it away. Chance for Normal West to try to get back in it.
I don't want to oversell it, John, but this next drive feels like it could be one of the more important drives of the evening, because 3 scores inside of would take the Lions at least a couple of seconds to score. 3 scores inside of 12 minutes would be tough, to say the least.
Well, especially how well Peoria High's defense has been, putting so much pressure on the quarterback. You know, they have went to the pass a lot more with Lindsey behind center, but you know, you're getting to the quarterback on almost every play. It makes it very challenging for them to try to get anything going. So like you said, Joe, yeah, this is big time.
First play didn't gain a whole lot. 2nd down and 8 coming up. And a handoff. Flag comes in on the stop. But if the play stands, Clark was not able to gain a lot for the Lions. Clark back in for Fisher. And that'll be a personal foul against the Lions. Officials still talking it over, but that was as Clark was brought down. We'll see how Normal West elects to play this, John. Looks like they're going to accept the penalty and back him up. Probably a wise decision. Still 2nd down coming up. Second and 14. Lions have to get to the 20-yard line. Potential for the safety here exists as well. Beckham dropping back. Walker pressures him in the end zone. He's forced to get rid of it. That was thrown in the general area of Rayshon Buckner.
Walker almost got to him there.
Came down to a foot race. It's Walker versus Beckham. Nearly forced him out of the back of the end zone, too. They were playing tag in a dangerous place for the Lions. 3rd and 14. John, how do you balance bringing pressure here with realizing that might open up some gaps for the Lions down the field?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think defense is going to have to hold back a little bit. Make sure you're covering that middle. And as you know, Eddie Clark's been getting those holes and hitting them. Looks like they're going to pass.
Beckham looking. He's in trouble. Hit as he threw it. Intended for Buckner. Buckner got a hand on it, but it falls to the grass. Risky business for the Lions here, John.
I was going to say, I know you don't punt, but it almost feels like a situation where you'd want to maybe punt.
Ball on the 6-yard line.
Because you're giving them really good field position if you don't convert here.
Yeah, with how effective Normal West's offense has been in some of these situations tonight, and the weapons they have, could be tricky. But on the flip side, a conversion here would mean the world to the Lions. It would give them a big momentum boost. Dropping back, contact, nearly, and it was actually caught by the Lions. Walker deflected it, and the play finally whistled dead. A flag comes in late. And pending the flag, Normal West with an unconventional stop on 4th and 14, but a stop they needed nevertheless.
As they had that whistle not blown that play dead, Isaiah Williams almost could have picked up that first down on his own. Tough to bring down there. Corey Walker almost had that as well.
Yeah, right in the breadbasket. And that'll be a face mask against Normal West. That's going to give him the first down, John. What a play that was.
That's definitely going to hurt for Normal West. Right there when you think you had to stop. And
Corey Walker's probably thinking he should have deflected that ball to the ground. We're going to replay fourth down, pardon me, here as we sort this out. Call it fourth down and 9.
Looks like Hazlitt behind center in the shotgun.
So it wasn't a face mask. Nevertheless, it was a Normal West penalty that has given the Lions second life. Hazlitt is going to punt it. A quick kick high into the night sky. Not a very long punt at all, so a strange set of plays. That punt didn't make it past the 30.
Normal West got that field position they ultimately wanted right here. Joey, this is turning into a game that we thought we might see.
Separated by just 15 points right now, Normal West and Peoria. The Wildcats back out onto the field. John, what's the recipe for Normal West?
I think we might see more through the air, Joey. Seems like it's been their go-to so far. Give them a chance to pick up some extra yards downfield. If they can convert. Caught him off sides.
It's 5 yards to start things off, pardon me. First and 5 coming up. Colton Lindsay looking strong since he entered the game a couple of series ago. Has a touchdown pass to his name, connected with Jamari Meyer on a 50-yarder. Pass swatted at the line of scrimmage, nearly intercepted.
That would have been a game changer right there. Almost deflected it and came down with it.
Landon Newby Wholesome was close to the ball, reached out for it, couldn't quite haul it in. And a change at quarterback here for Normal West. After that pass that was tipped at the line of scrimmage, Levi Hess back into the game. Lindsay to the sidelines. Hess, a different style of quarterback, John, as we've seen tonight. He can use his legs.
We saw in their first play of the game when he ran that touchdown in for 71 yards.
Small gain there on second down and 5. Walker came in to block. Those Normal West uniforms, John, that started white and pristine now have a lot of green and dirt on them. Almost looks like Walker's wearing gold from here.
Yeah.
Third and 1, do you try to go up the middle?
I think you keep it on the ground here. You might see Hess taking himself.
Third and 1. Taking it is Hess. Big pile at the line, and John, I don't think he got it.
I don't think so either. He's just short. See where they give him the spot.
Fourth down and inches. Didn't quite get enough.
It's going to be a big play, Joey.
Normal West needs a conversion here. Clock maybe not working against them quite yet, but with a turnover on downs and the right Peoria drive, their chances could diminish significantly. Hess with Leslie Fisher in with him. A couple of wide receivers spread out. Walker slides in. They're going to go up the middle. Here's Hess. Flag comes in, and I think that was a false start before the play. We'll see, and it was. Play whistled, false start. 4th and 1 becomes 4th and 6.
Definitely open the door for a potential pass here now. Makes it a little harder on the ground to run. Lindsay back in at quarterback.
See what Lindsay can provide. Lindsay has not attempted to scramble tonight. Hess has done so a couple of times. Oh, and another false start in all likelihood. And it is. 4th and 1 becomes 4th and 6, becomes 4th and 11.
Certainly not the position Normal West wanted to find themselves in. Took what could have been an easy conversion there on 4th and 1. Like you said, turns into 4th and double digits.
Lindsay remains in. See if he goes to the air here. 11 yards to gain, 4th down, drops back, looking long, looking to the corner of the end zone. A little bit short of the corner of the end zone, nevertheless. Devontae Crawford couldn't quite haul it in. And that is a heartbreaking turnover on downs for Normal West. Peoria's loving it. And John, is this the time when we see that high-powered offense maybe turn the afterburners off and try to chew some clock?
Could see that, or they come out the gate strong and try to put another score on the board early, Joey, and kind of take this game out of reach. I think if Peoria High could find the end zone once more, it'd be very tough for Normal West to get back in this game.
First down and 10 coming up. It's an unapologetic style of football. And a pass floated out to the flat. Normal West right on it. Clock will run, but Normal West will sacrifice that at this stage for the loss of yards. Not a significant loss, only a loss of 2. 2nd and 12, handoff and a big hit there right at the original line of scrimmage. Eddie Clark on the carry. Clark hasn't really taken many big hits tonight, John. He's not really been hit a whole lot. I know he's been brought down in the open field a good number of times, but
definitely held his own. Tough player to bring down.
Third and 10 coming up just like that. Clark, a 5'10", 180-pound junior. Low center of gravity. Out to Ricky Hearn, and Hearn, despite an extension, couldn't quite reach the first down marker. So 4th down and short coming up. Fourth and about 2. Big 4th down play coming up here. Up the middle and stopped was Beckham. The Normal West defense holds on 4th down and 2. They called it 4th and 3 officially. It was a short 3 yards.
Not too much time came off the clock there. Normal West a chance to answer back after coming up short on their last possession.
How ironic, right? 3 yards the distance on those 2-point conversions that Normal West has been so adept at stopping tonight, relatively anyways. But now we get into a situation where Normal West has had some chances offensively, but they've failed to capitalize last couple times on the field. Peoria defense doing a great job. Lindsay dropping back, firing one out quickly to Meyer. Meyer bobbled it, and Robertson nearly cleaned it up for Peoria.
Seen that a couple times thus far. Joey saw Corey Walker one in and out of the hands. Saw it right there from Meyer. Yeah, Meyer, but those passes are there on the money. You just can't corral them.
And whereas he's dropped back for a couple of deep looks tonight, that was a quick one, designed to get over the middle quickly. 2nd down and 10, just north of 7 to play. Lindsay dropping back again, off balance throw to Walker. Walker still on his feet. Now he's brought down. It took a village, but the Lions got there. And Lindsay to Walker makes it a 3rd and manageable. But John, can't say enough about this Peoria defense. They've stepped up and answered the call on these 3rd and 4th down plays. 3rd and 3. Drop back, pass over the middle. Zebarth the catch and the first down.
Starting to get that 1-2 punch of Corey Walker and Max Zebarth going that we talked about early in the game. Didn't see a whole lot of production out of them, but starting to click right now on those last 2 throws.
Fresh set of downs. And in the red zone is Normal West. Low snap, saved by the false start. You don't hear that one often. But Lindsay couldn't quite handle the snap. False start negates it.
Kind of deja vu that we saw last possession, Joey. Get up there, get some nice yardage, and then pushing them back with those penalties. And you almost got to pay attention to that clock, too. 6 minutes, not a whole lot of time, you know.
Normal West still with 3 timeouts left, but you're right, John. They've got to score sooner rather than later. Chance for Crawford here. Crawford battling with Buckner. Call it a draw or say Buckner won. 2nd and 15 coming up. So now we go sub 6 minutes. And admittedly, John, I don't recall if I said this a moment ago, but still 3 timeouts for Normal West. Just 2 for Peoria. Those could come in handy for the Wildcats here if they can manage a score. Lindsay on the hard count. Got a defensive back to flinch. Going over the middle quickly to Walker. Flag comes in.
Is that a late hit or is pass interference on Walker?
I believe that's going to be roughing the passer. That's what Cody Roskin signals to us. I was looking down the field, and there was a little contact on Walker. I didn't think that was enough to draw the flag in any case. It is roughing the passer against the Lions. First roughing the passer penalty we've seen tonight. John, by far the most common flags we've seen have been ones for personal fouls or fault. We've seen a lot of false starts, enough false starts for a season it seems. They do signal roughing. And a first down to come. But whatever mistakes you've made on either side of the ball, John, throw those out the window at this point, right? You just need to play the cleaner 5-30.
Yeah. Normal West in really good field position here. If they can connect on one, I'm sure they'd love to get one in the end zone here and cut this to a 1 score.
Lindsay drops back to pass, going over the middle to Walker, dropped in the end zone. Walker had a nice route that took him across the middle of the end zone. Couldn't hang on for the catch that would have made it a 1-score game. John, I don't believe that Lindsay has handed the ball off once since he's been in or kept it himself. Every time Lindsay has dropped back, he's passed.
Yeah, he's a pass-first quarterback. Hess clearly is the more of a running quarterback, a little bit of slash pocket passer, but they rely on Lindsay to pass. Like he said, hasn't handed it off once. But they're still moving the ball, so it's working.
See what he does here. 2nd down and 10. Ball's on the 13-yard line, so not quite a goal-to-go situation, but close. Drops back to pass again, looking for Meyer. Meyer in the corner. Couldn't quite haul it in. And John, amending my previous statement, Cody Roskins points out that he has handed the ball off once. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or criticizing, but you can bet if you're Peoria when you see Lindsay in the game dropping back, or under center, he's going to pass.
Yep.
And probably another passing situation here on 3rd and 10.
Yep.
But 4-down territory as well. It's the chess match of football.
Ultimately, Joey, if they can find the end zone here on this possession after a timeout to sort everything out, it would really rely on their defense to make a big stop.
It certainly would. Peoria takes a timeout. Pardon me, Normal West takes the timeout, their first of the half, and we'll take this timeout to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army, with more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits. To help you along the way, the U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to Go Army. That's AVKQ to Go Army or 309-689-0071. Speaking on Lindsay again, the junior is 4 of 14, 72 passing yards, 50 of which came on the big connection to Jamari Meyer. Third and 10 coming up in the timeout situation, 2 and 2. Lindsay dropping back, looking for Walker. Walker the catch, staying on his feet. He's in the end zone.
Got it.
Touchdown, Normal West. Lions strike back, or the Wildcats strike back, pardon me, and a big strike at that. 40-32 in a one-score game, just north of 5 to play.
And Joey, wouldn't you say after that drop that Walker had in the end zone, he certainly wanted that back and showed it right there that nothing was going to bring him down.
He was certainly motivated. The mark of a competitor. Committed to play ball at Western Michigan. And the extra point on and good from Owen Sen. So the Wildcats with a big score there. 40-33 our score.
Definitely turned into a really, really good game. It looked like Peoria High had a nice big lead and kind of shades of what we saw last week. Bloomington coming right back in the game, and ultimately this one's a lot closer than we saw last week. And Normal West wanting to try to get a big defensive stop here.
And depending on how this drive goes, Peoria, of course, could have the upper hand. 5:07 to play and 2 timeouts for Normal West. But, John, that Normal West defense has really, they have come alive the last couple of drives.
Yeah, they've fought hard. And like I said earlier, it's a tall task to try to shut down Peoria High's offense, but doing a good job at limiting them. None more crucial than right now to try to make a big stop, get that ball back.
Sen set to kick things off. 7-point game. Glad you're with us on ClutchSportsIL.com. We've got a good one. Sends it deep. Clark and Hazlitt again back to return it. That one does not stop at the 1-yard line. Instead rolls through the end zone. Lions could run it down and win the game. Wildcats could come up with a big stop. Both on the table. Favoring Normal West is the tempo that Peoria plays with.
See what they can do here. What do you think we're going to see, Joey? On the ground to start, maybe in the air, but Peoria High's like that run.
They have really liked the run tonight, but their last time out, they ran it 3 plays, but they didn't take much time off the clock relatively. Up the middle in space. Here's a big run to start things off. It's Clark up past the 45.
Every time they needed a big answer, Clark.
I was going to say there's the answer to the question.
Yeah. And like you said, Normal West doesn't have to worry about field goal because they're not a field goal kicking team. They just try to keep them out of that end zone, but it's tough to do when you got a guy like Eddie Clark back there.
Both teams with 2 timeouts, and here's a design keeper for Beckham. Beckham slipping through some tackles. Flags come in. Gained about 6, but we'll see if that stands, and I don't think it will based on the reaction of some Peoria High assistant coaches. They're walking it back. Eddie Clark has gone over 200 rushing yards with that last rush of his. Now 232 yards on the evening. Unofficial total, but nevertheless, it's been a brilliant evening for Clark. That one is coming back. It's against the Lions. John, the point we made, a moment ago, is that the team with the cleaner, at that point, it was around 5.5 minutes, would win the game. Could be a costly error for Peoria. First down and 18. Handoff up the middle, not much space for Clark. Second down and long coming up.
Another flag.
Right on the snap, and that's whistle dead. Should be a false start against Peoria, following all early indications.
Not the penalties they want right now.
No. Well, and it has been Normal West, the team with a little less discipline on that offensive line tonight. We haven't seen a ton of false starts, at least anecdotally, against Peoria. I could check that and be wrong, but that one pops up at an inopportune time. Still, it makes for great drama with this Peoria offense because you know in just one play they can gain these 18 yards back.
Oh, definitely. Couldn't ask for a better semifinal game either. A lot on the line.
It's coming down to the wire.
Offensive, defensive battle.
And right now a supreme battle of offense and defense. A defense in Normal West trying to make a stop that could save the game and give them a chance. Peoria trying to end it. Here's a handoff in space. Eddie Clark trying to end it right here. Space in front of him. Foot race. He's brought down. All three players involved hit the ground hard. Jamari Meyer, Leslie Fisher, and Clark. Clark continues. An incredible performance. Now over 250 yards on the ground. Into the red zone. But that drama, John, still exists because Peoria is not a field goal kicking team. They've got to get into the end zone or at least time out another first down. Exactly right.
You'd like to think they're going to keep it to Eddie Clark, though. Try to get him on the ground. He's been so effective. I think a touchdown here would ultimately seal this up for the Lions.
Touchdown would go a long way. Beckham, the only one in the backfield, is going to take it right up the middle himself. Has 4 rushing touchdowns on the evening. Stop short. Does he still have 4 or did he pick up a 5th in there?
Yeah,
I think he picked up a 5th in there, yeah. In any case, he's been...
Yeah, between him and Clark, just done a ton for Peoria High. Really carried them on the offensive end.
Second down and 6. Something you don't see a lot from the Lions. Running down some clock. And here's one to Eddie Clark.
Oh, the ball's loose.
Normal West thinks they have it. And they do. Wow. Normal West with a big turnover.
That's crucial.
Wildcats force it loose. Strap down your computer, smartphone, tablet, however you may be watching us tonight. Normal West can drive it down the field with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Not the turnover you want if you're Peoria High. And Joey, we've seen Colton Lindsay air it out and throw some deep balls. Might have one of those in their back pocket.
Lindsay has not been afraid to throw the deep ball. We'll see what quarterback Normal West trots out. It's been mostly Lindsay in this.
I think we see Lindsay again.
Half. He's back. That's Eddie Clark's second fumble, first turnover. 88 yards to drive for Normal West. Floated up to Zebarth. Zebarth has the catch. He's around midfield, still on his feet, crossing the 50-yard line, right at the 50-yard line, brought down. Big reception for Zebarth. Wildcats pushing the pace.
Zebarth getting involved now and Really nice pickup for Normal West. What a game so far, Joey.
And a great finish on deck, right at midfield. Dropping back is Lindsay. Lindsay fires a bullet to Meyer over his head. That stops the clock, doesn't stop the adrenaline.
No, it certainly doesn't. Got to think that gets that away crowd on the opposite end of us a little fired up. Should have a great finish in store.
Indeed, that crowd you see at the top of your screen, that is the Normal West contingent. Peoria fan base behind us. A little larger. Quieted a little bit now, and the Normal West fans making some noise. 2nd and 10, ball right at midfield. Dropping back is Lindsay. Lindsay out to Meyer. Meyer crosses the line of scrimmage, up past the 45. Clock runs. John, with just 2 timeouts left for Normal West, there's going to be a point where perhaps they don't want to save them.
Yeah, well, it's going to be crucial to pick up this first down now and then kind of use your timeouts accordingly, see if they can convert first off. Joey, it's going to be a race against the clock as well.
And right on cue, Normal West will take a timeout. Halts things with 1:21 left. Worth noting, a first down would temporarily stop the clock. 1 left for Normal West, 2 left for Peoria. And John, just to provide a brief recap of how we got here, it was 40-19 at one point here in the second half, in the third quarter. Looked like Peoria had come out strong, and they had started to pull away a little bit. They started, defensively, they came up with some big stops. And offensively, they made plays. Missed a couple of chances, but still, the big strike to Meyer. Big touchdown reception from Corey Walker.
They got the big plays when they needed them, and see if they can connect for a couple big ones here on this drive. All starts right here with this 3rd and 5. Joe, you got to think none other than Colton Lindsay airing it out. Haven't really ran the ball.
Maybe, though, they dial something up to catch that Lions defense off guard. Dropping back on 3rd and 5, looking out for Meyer, nearly intercepted. That'll set up 4th and 5, and when I say Robertson was oh so close.
I think Peoria High's thinking one big stop here could seal it.
It is truly 4th and ball game. 4th down and 5 from the 45. Normal West needs a conversion to keep hope alive. And Peoria will take a timeout.
Trying to ice the quarterback there, as you'd say, I guess. Looks like they were ready to run that play. And
both teams have 1 timeout left. And John, at that point, why not take a timeout real quick?
It's a smart timeout.
So what do you think changes here? 4th down and 5?
Still going to throw the ball. Something potentially over the top to Walker or Z-Barth. I think your 2 big guys come down with it. But how big of a defensive possession is this for Peoria High to try to get a stop, knowing this could potentially send your team to the title?
Winner advances to the Big 12 title game next Friday night. They would have the winner of Quincy Notre Dame and Normal Community. Quincy Notre Dame was up at halftime in that one. 4th down and 5. Nobody in the backfield with Lindsay. And how about this? Peoria is going to take another timeout.
I like the idea.
We have a final score from that one. Quincy Notre Dame 23, Normal Community 5. So the winner has a date with Quincy Notre Dame next Friday at 7.
New member to the Big 12, Quincy Notre Dame. And how about that, getting to the Big 12 title game in their appearance in this conference.
Yeah, what an entry. What a weird final score that is, 23-5.
Yeah, field goal and a safety.
Yeah, that might be scoregami, Jonathan Michael points out. That's a Quincy Notre Dame team that has given the Big 12 problems this season, but we've still got 1:16 left to play here. Normal West, 5 yards away from a chance. Of course, this is one part of the puzzle for the Wildcats because they've still got to keep the drive going after this, but of course, you've got to take it one play at a time. John, I think we see the tactic from Tim Thornton because while Normal West is using this opportunity to huddle, Peoria is at the line of scrimmage ready to go. And now Normal West has taken a timeout. 3 timeouts in a row, folks.
I think they know how much is on the line here.
And now both teams are out of timeouts. We were lined up and ready for 4th and 5. Peoria took 2 timeouts. Now Normal Community takes one of their own. Or Normal West, pardon me. Normal West breaks huddle. So we'll see what about 3 minutes of deliberation has meant. 4th and 5. Lindsay has Crawford behind him. Walker and Zebarth in motion. They stack the near side. Lindsay dropping back. Pass out to Walker. Walker catches it. He's battling for the first down. He's out of bounds, and he turns it over. Out of bounds, short of the line.
That's going to do it.
With Normal West out of timeouts, all Peoria has to do is snap the ball a few times and walk off a winner. He was marked 2 yards short.
What a defensive stop for Peoria High. Ultimately going to win him this ball game and send him to the Big 12 title.
It was a second half that saw some early scoring and then seemingly defensive stand after defensive stand. Couple of Normal West scores peppered in there. And by 2 yards, Peoria will emerge.
What a fight by Normal West, though. I mean, credit to them to get back in this game. And Peoria High is going to come out on top.
What a fight it was indeed. Great fight from both teams tonight. Digging in, making big plays, big moments. And kneeling it is Beckham. That ought to do it. Might have to snap it one more time.
They might just run it down.
Normal West coming out onto the field. That will do it. Final score from Peoria Stadium tonight. Peoria 40, 33 for Normal West. You can see how fired up the Lions are. They will play for a Big 12 title next week. Next stop, title game. They've got Quincy Notre Dame. Say it came down to 2 yards there at the end, John. Obviously, Normal West had a drive in front of them there. That was, as I said, part of a larger puzzle they needed to figure out the answer to. They would have been hard-pressed.
And a lot of Peoria High players going up to Corey Walker, just dabbing him up, giving him a hug, but you got to feel for him. A senior season, just coming up 2 yards short of potentially giving your team a chance to get back into it, but really hard-fought game, both sides. Really, really great game to watch.
It was a great one at Peoria Stadium tonight, indeed. We'll take one more time we'll take one more break, pardon me, to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army, with more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way. The U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to go Army. 40-33 the final, and John, what a game it was. I know we just made those points, but that's what it's all about. 40-33, and games like that on the gridiron, they're not as common as you'd see, on the hardwood or even on the ball diamond. Football is a little more spread out. You don't get those games as often that come down to those last couple of plays. Do you think Normal West would have gone for 2 to try and win it had they marched it down?
That's what I was kind of thinking in my head. You know, had they got down there and scored, maybe try to walk it off with a win here against a team like Peoria High. Just not the outcome tonight, but I think you got to give the player of the game to Eddie Clark tonight, right? I mean, Darius Beck, it's hard to argue 5 touchdowns. Probably Beckham, but
over 250 yards on the ground for Clark. It's a debate.
Can't really cancel out that because ultimately a lot of those short touchdowns for Beckham were set up by the runs from Clark. I think they could kind of player of the game.
I think he'd be happy to share it tonight.
Yeah.
It is Eddie Clark and Darius Beckham keying Peoria to a victory tonight. 40-33 your final score. We won't be at the Big 12 title game next Friday. We will be in Metamora for Metamora and Washington next Friday at 6, so mark your calendars for that one. Metamora and Washington. No title implications on the line there, but it always feels like something special when they get together, especially on the gridiron. So we'll go live about 5:50 p.m. next Friday for that one. Clutch Sports Media on Twitter at Clutch Sports IL, Clutch Sports Media on Instagram, and on Facebook as well. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching tonight on YouTube, or you can watch online at clutchsportsil.com. And John Camoso, that's where we'll wrap it up tonight. I'm Joey Wright, our broadcast crew tonight. Jonathan Michael, Francisco Alonso, Matt Harrington, Cody Roskins, and Jacob Steinberg, my broadcast partner, John Camosa. 40-33 for Peoria. They will advance to next Friday's Big 12 title game. Thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of Clutch Sports Media.